Stay with me. Brothers, what we do in life.
I didn't terminate the Barack Hussein Obama Iran nuclear deal. They would have had a, don't forget, that was a path to a nuclear weapon. Remember this. He chose Iran over Israel, pure and simple. How Israel can vote for a Democrat is if you're Jewish in New York City or any place else in this country, and how you can vote for a Democrat is unbelievable, because he chose Iran, a very hostile Iran. Remember when he filled up a 757 with cash, billions of dollars of cash, and he sent it over to them. Then they gave them tens of billions of dollars. He chose Iran over Israel and really the Arab world, if you look, because, you know, the other, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE. I mean, you take a look. I mean, I can add Kuwait and I can add Bahrain, and you can add others. He chose such an unlikely candidate. Nobody could believe it. Frankly, if you're going to choose between Iraq and Iran, he should have befriended Iraq. He went in the exact opposite direction of all thinking, and he made a terrible mistake. But that was a road to a nuclear weapon. And when I terminated that, everyone said, oh, he terminated it. It was one of the best things we ever did, because he had a road to a nuclear weapon. And it was a very short-term deal. You know, countries don't do 10-year deals. Countries do hundreds of years. You don't do a 10-year deal. For a country, you need, this isn't, you're a landlord, you're renting a store on a certain street, and you give somebody a 5-year or a 10-year lease. This is a country. It was a short-term deal. It was ready to expire. I terminated it before it expired. Took a lot of heat, and it was one of the best things I ever did, because he would have had a nuclear weapon. Then he would have had another nuclear weapon.
All righty. I think we got the point across on that one. How is it going out there, my fellow world patriots? It is indeed Monday, April 6th, 2026. And I hope you all had a happy Easter, a good Friday, great weekend with the fam. Hopefully there wasn't too much political jargon and fighting back and forth. But how is it going out there? We have episode 203 of Hold the Line. I think I got that one right. And, of course, we have Miss Lisa and Mr. Mac. Miss Lisa from across the pond, Miss Ladies first, of course. How's it going over there in the UK, dare I ask? But how's it going in general, Miss Lisa?
Things are good. You know, things are good. There's just a lot going on, you know. There's so much going on. It's ridiculous. And, you know, trying to make something of it, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm looking forward to the show.
Absolutely.
Discuss a few things and dig deep, you know?
Absolutely. Mr. Max, sir, let me just adjust this microphone so it's a little closer to my face. There we go. Mr. Max, sir, how's it going with you, brother? And hope everything was good. And I should have said it for Lisa, but of course I meant it for all of you guys and everybody listening. I hope you guys had a great Easter, of course.
Yes, happy Easter. He is risen. I unfortunately had very bad sleep on Saturday night and just conked out Sunday evening last night. I wasn't feeling the best, but I got lots of sleep, so I feel 10 times better today. But things are going good. Lots to cover. Holy crap, there was a lot going on. From Pam Bondi leaving her post to, you know, what's going on in Iran. There's just a lot to cover. And then we'll get to even President Trump's truce, where he's hinting at other things. It's been a pretty eventful, info-filled week, and very, very exciting. But yeah, looking forward to the show.
Yeah, it's getting a little crazy out there for sure. And you know, the one thing I had viewed, and just kind of going off what you said, talking about Pam Bondi, right? And so I'm just going to pull this one up quick, even though we know it was another, you know, what was it, the second? So 4 whole days ago, right? That feels like about a month right now. But basically saying that she served and da-da-da-da-da and did that. But I've never seen this phraseology before. I've seen, hey, she's going to be going into the private sector, blah, 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 like all the other, schleppers do or whatever, right? But he says she will be transitioning to a much needed and important new job in the private sector to be announced at a date in the near future. So I thought that was just interesting the way he phrased that. I don't know if either of you caught that or thought there was anything to it, or maybe just, phrase it in a different way. But I thought it was different.
Did.
You get anything out of that? I mean, maybe it's something...
I mean, she could be a witness to the grand conspiracy. Like, she was a placeholder, as Q's hinted at certain positions being there to serve certain roles, and then you have the acting AG, which Lisa, you've talked about. I'll let you get into the acting AG roles and what they serve as, because you do a good explanation on it. But she could also be a lawyer in one of these cases as well. So putting her in a position where she got to see all the stuff and then be a part of a public hearing later or some sort of court case, you make things very interesting and falls into that grand conspiracy thing. But who knows? I thought it was a very nice hint.
It's interesting. Lisa, I don't know if you want to make any comment on that one, but yeah, it seemed weird to me.
Yeah, he calls her a great American patriot. So he's basically saying Pam Bondi is a gap. Yes?
Ooh, like a little placeholder almost, or like a play between?
Yeah, Pam Bondi is a gap, a great American patriot. He says it.
Oh, it's an acronym.
Yeah, no, makes sense too, yeah.
Yeah, and then, interestingly enough, Todd Blanche, the acting AG, his first interview with Fox News, and he was asked about Epstein and whether Epstein was an agent or working with the intel agencies, which one? And he said his answer was definitely not. Which is honestly, I haven't even got words.
Definitely.
Because it's just well, you only have to read a little bit and you don't even have to read into it. We know Epstein was an agent, an asset working with intel agencies. Yes? Because he says so and it's in there.
Hey, Lisa.
Yeah.
You've always called him is there a entity above that, being a right-hand person for, say, the Rothschilds? Would that hold a different type of credo amongst the intelligence agencies, knowing that?
Of course, he had blackmail on everybody, and we know from his history, going back to Iran-Contra and arms dealing. Who do you think he was working with? And Ghislaine Maxwell's dad being a double agent and one of Mossad's top agents, buried at the Mount. I just thought it was a ridiculous statement to make, but kind of apt, given that he's the acting AG. And then he's the same person that interviewed Ghislaine Maxwell for 9 hours and never got any information and hardly asked. I can't think of one question that he asked that I would have asked her at that point in time, given the information that they had and that they had the Epstein files. So just think that's pretty ridiculous. But it's interesting that that person has been put in as the acting AG. I think about it. It's well, sorry, but I can kind of understand people if they say that they think there's a cover-up. Because he just said he's not an agent or working with any intel agencies, no mention of Israel. It's blackmail, Epstein's own words, his relationship with Ehud Barak, He was in charge of what, Unit 8200, ex-Prime Minister of Israel. I mean, come on. I'm just like flabbergasted. And that is the acting AG at this moment in time. Don't get it.
We will see how long he lasts, because I'll also back up your sentiment here. And it's not like a lot of people haven't talked about this or don't know about this. So
the cooperation that we need, the one that is running.
And just really quickly, Peter Tickton, longtime friend, was in military academy with President Trump. So you would think pretty close to him.
Things now in the Department of Justice, Pam Bondi sits at the head of it. But the COO, so to speak, the person who actually runs it, is Todd Blanche. And Todd Blanche is failing on all measures. Because of him, we haven't had a pardon granted since May. Because of him, he wants the J6ers to not be compensated for all that we put them through. Because of him, we're not getting the things that we need for Dominion machines, et cetera, et cetera. Now, this guy used to...
So he basically went on to, just essentially say, as you see in the post that I put up here, that everything that needs to move forward for Trump's presidency is being intentionally blocked by Todd Blanche. Now, what happens when you have September of 25, so, 7 months ago, you have a close confidant of Trump, by all accounts, saying just this. But then shortly thereafter, we have Pam gone and we have Todd Blanche in. Now, if we know President Trump's history of people not, doing what he wants on his watch, essentially, they'll be gone pretty quickly. So we'll have to see how this kind of plays out. I still think somebody else is going to be coming in. And I was kind of joking the other day and it was saying Sessions, but, remember when he left office, Trump voted or against him or backed the person that was against Sessions. Was that furthering the riff, the fake riff, or is it a real riff? I mean, I'm half joking when I say he could come back in, but remember that post back in the day, you need to take one basically for the team publicly before later coming to find out to become a hero, essentially. So
it does say that he's acting AG. And often when they bring in an acting AG, then they're only expected to hold that position for a certain, preordained time. Who's the other one? Oh, was it Callahan Mack? The JAG? I can't remember.
I remember us going over acting AGs a while back and just how much more power that they have just because of their short stint. So they can go up and clean house and kind of shake things up. And that kind of followed the Scaramucci model as well. That Q mentions where Scaramucci came in was a big drama-filled thing. So Blanche could be either very powerful and put people away, or it could be like a Scaramucci model to kind of dramatize everything and people start ratting each other out. That's just a guess, but
interestingly enough, I looked into Pam Bondi's brother. I can't remember his first name, but he's also a lawyer, and he represents has represented Big Pharma. So at some point, I can't remember his name, but he was a priest, and this priest, do you know which one I mean? Space Shot, the priest.
No, just the fact that you said he was a priest, I'm just like,
but the thing is, he had accusations against the Big Pharma, and Pam Bondi's brother was defending Big Pharma, and obviously because of his connections, he was able to rope in the DOJ, and this priest was debanked, and they spent over 10 million trying to charge the priest, and they lost.
Oof.
Yes, they lost, but they spent about 10 million attacking this priest, and his argument was what Big Pharma were actually doing, and he's still a priest, by the way. I just think that's very interesting because it's Pam Bondi's brother, who's also a lawyer,
Look at this.
And then, Like when it comes to the administration, I say what administrations don't like is for it to seem like there's chaos. You know, so Trump's first administration, there was more people that were moved out of their positions than I think almost any other presidency. So you might want to think to provide some kind of consistency, you know, this time around. But anyway.
Well, I think in that video, that guy's kind of complaining about J6 and stuff. Well, we know that there was infiltration in J6. So it kind of hints at that there's still things needing to be unfolded. Now, does that fall into the same people that are behind the election fraud? Probably. So are they the same type of people behind, say, COVID? I don't know. But, these, we would assume so. But, these were all instances that have happened during this whole time period that apparently this ongoing grand conspiracy has been happening. And the fact that Pam Bondi, was fired would signal a new chapter in the ongoing process in a positive manner, so that she kind of can wipe her hands free of anything that's going to happen hereafter. Now, is she going to be implicated, or is she a bad character? I don't know at this point, but she seemed to have done her job at the time. But I don't know everything, because it does seem like there's some there are some open cases, but it seems to be attached to a bigger thing, and we still are waiting to get to that.
Well, we had the the first instance of Comey and Brennan and all of that, and the originally the cases were botched. Well, I would call it botched. Where they were supposedly indicted, and then all of that was dropped, so it had to be done again. Regarding the AG that wasn't an AG and wasn't qualified and was put into a position, and then lost her job. There's two ladies. The Habibi, is it Habibi, the lawyer, and then also that one who was like an insurance investigator and not really a lawyer. And she was put in her job as the AG of, was it New Jersey or something like that? And she went ahead.
Alina Hababa.
And went and did the cases against Comey or whatever without really doing her homework, but she wasn't qualified. And you might have thought that, somebody like the AG might have said something, given the appointment, as an advisor to the president.
You might.
What do you think?
Do you think that they could be assembling information, evidence in the background? Because Todd Blanche has been Trump's lawyer for Jack Smith's case and everything, and then he knows where to go looking to make sure that everything's being covered. Kind of like a false safe.
I don't know.
But I just theorize different probabilities of what's going to happen. But
when I look at that one, it just feels like a bit of a stretch. Because I don't know. It just feels like a bit of a stretch. I just that statement he made about Epstein not being an agent, and it's like, got to disagree with you there, mate. And it was his first interview, so I don't know. I don't take that lightly, and I can't explain it away.
No, and you shouldn't. But guess what? What are we?
The context of the timing as well. And given the some botched handling.
Is it botched, or is it the deep state fighting back, Lisa? Or are we exhibiting how corrupt the system is? The thing I can't understand is how aside from people that are following Q and, I don't know, Promethean Action, for example, how do two old ladies, besides the Q people, seem to see things that are going on with the world scheme other than that, and for some reason nobody else has seen this. I don't understand why that is. Why did everybody fall off a cliff when we hit Iran? That's what I want to know.
Interesting, because
we knew it was coming.
The lady's Promethean action, talking about Britain and all of that. Anybody listening to the show for the last 3 years will know that, like, that's something that I've just zeroed in on from almost day one. What's going on there, but I don't know. I'm a bit stumped on Iran right now.
And you should be. You shouldn't know exactly what's going on. If they're doing their job right, we don't know what's going on. That's the problem I don't understand. Like, everybody's dissecting every friggin' thing Trump's doing since we hit Iran the second time. We were shown Iran was coming. We were shown it was going to be a regime change over there. Like, essentially, we were told years ago that this was going to happen after North Korea. What was another one? There was one more in between. I forget which it was. But then it was going to be Iran. That's why I just don't understand why half of the people that I know, there's good meaning people that are genuinely confused and are like, oh, I don't know what's going on. But like, we were set the table. We've been shown this stuff was coming for how long? And so I just don't get and you're right. We did cover this stuff. We have been covering stuff in the UK and whatnot. But what I'm saying is I'm not talking about you guys at all. I'm talking about a majority of the people that are out there just like, oh, Trump's over there. He's in Bibi's pocket. And that's it. That's all that's going on. Nothing else about, oh, are they doing anything with the financial system worldwide? Are they trying to take care of the oil ahead of time like they did? Are people in UK kind of flipping out against Trump, showing their true colors lately? Like, that's the big stuff right there. And I just don't understand how people just tuck tail and essentially say, oh, this, he's in their pockets and that's it. It's over.
And Iran's been shown to be a very divisive country. Not easy to deal with. Obama is the one that sympathized to him. He's a Muslim. So Q's drops have pointed that out. He's even admitted to it pretty much. I've got a video of a bunch of them, actually, but one in particular that I found today that I thought was very timely. And you can play this, put it at the bottom of the chat. But he's a Manchurian candidate. He's basically related to the Bush family, which Judge Joe Brown explains. That's another link in the bottom of the chat. And so they've enabled Iran. Iran was basically invaded by the Islamic regime of, what was it? What family was it that got thrown out? But that was a whole shift in that whole culture where women started covering their faces and so forth and so on. And then they did accumulate nuclear power, I think dating back to the Carter administration. Well, in that transition with Reagan, George H.W. Bush was a vice president, and they made like a deal with Iran during that hostage situation on arms. And the Bush family's they go all the way back to Prescott Bush and the Brown Brothers and Harriman Company. And that was an entity that helped fund the Nazis and Hitler back in World War II. So the Bush family's been around to present day and around for all these wars and major disasters. And they even have some sort of kinship or relationship with Obama, which is dates back to his childhood, I think. If you want to, whichever one you want to play, this is crazy what Obama said back in the day.
There we go. Unmute, unspace mute. And I was literally saying this video is so nasty too. And I was like, dude, he actually said this
we
stuff.
We got to remind people, he was the cause of all this. So, let's hear what he has to say about America.
And the wedding ring that he the wedding ring that he wore on his wedding finger before he was even married to Michelle, that I believe said, this is not my belief, but his said, there is no God except Allah on the ring. And then they try to tell you, no, it's fake or whatever. But let's listen to 30 seconds of Barry.
No longer a Christian nation.
We do not consider ourselves a Christian.
We are no longer a Christian nation.
We do not consider ourselves a Christian nation.
The United States has been enriched by Muslim Americans.
Since our founding,
American Muslims have enriched the United States. Islam has always been a part of America's story. There is a mosque in every state in our union and over 1,200 mosques within our borders. Let there be no doubt, Islam is a part of America.
Oh, that is just gross. Oh yeah, they've what was the word he used? They've they've enriched our country. I mean, nasty. Any thoughts on that one? Go ahead, buddy.
Curtails into like everything, like Awan, I believe it was, who paid for his education, his family. You want to play that Joe Brown video? It's a great one. But I heard Lisa was going to say something. Go ahead. No, go ahead. You can play it.
Well, this is a little on the long side, but I think it's important though, because again, for those of you who have not heard this, Judge Joe Brown talking about he's got a particular target, and he's been going after Obama for quite some time. So let's see how much we need to hear out of the 3 minutes. Here we go.
Well, there are pictures of Bush with his arm around 8-year-old Barack Obama because his stepdaddy, adopted daddy, Lolo Sotoro, had done a lifetime worth of business with the Bushes. Wow. Uncle George Herbert Walker, after whom George Herbert Walker Bush, Bush 1 president, was named, founded Halliburton in 1946 in Oklahoma. And Lolo Sotoro had been international executive vice president for Standard Oil.
There was talk of him being a CIA asset.
Well, yeah, see, he ran the death squads for the Indonesian army. On his own call, anyone could be assassinated. So when George Herbert Walker Bush became head of the CIA under the Ford administration, he just got with his old buddy in the oil business, Lolo Sotoro, and pulled off the hits. See, Barack's grandmother has been acknowledged as being the woman that operated the channels through which CIA money went to the Southwest Pacific. So she introduced her daughter, who had just had Barry, Barack, to Lolo Sotoro, and they got married, and Lolo Sotoro adopted Barack Obama. The name was changed to Barry Sotoro. Now, when he went to high school in Hawaii, I know about that high school. I almost sent my oldest son to it. I could afford it, but I didn't think he deserved it. 20 years ago, the tuition was $95,000 a year, not including room and board. When Obama went there, I've talked to 2 of his classmates. They independently state that the tuition, not including room and board, was $45,000. Now, Business Insider reports his income for 2017 at over $200 million net. That's after taxes, deductions, write-offs. For this last year, 2018, they reported it as $570+ million. And that's after all deductions, tax, right? Trump doesn't make that net. I mean, even some of the richest people in America don't make that. Why? Because when his stepdaddy died, he was one of the 10, 15 richest men on earth. And he left everything in the trust fund, operated out of Indonesia, so the American government can't touch it. It makes Barack Obama 1/3 beneficiary for the assets of one of the 10, 15 richest men on earth. See, so...
And for anybody making videos, please don't put the stupid background music to it. L's 69. But it's crazy, the connections there. They're all getting rich. And do we have the first black president? Not really, right? He's not really black. He's half black. So I don't know if does that count? Or is that racist to say? I don't know. But any thoughts on this one, guys, before we kind of go over to the next piece of info? Because we got a rescue mission, or we have a uranium heist, depending how you're looking at it.
I mean,
right.
It's just wild how many decades, and how you can see how they've intercommingled the families, and it's much bigger than we thought.
I think,
huge.
I think to me, what it represents is, I know that you're all American, but, America does have a reputation for this kind of stuff, like, been at it for a very long time, whether it's corruption, like effects in the world, trying to control the world, trying to do this, trying to do that. It's like America's like number one candidate for all of this stuff. I know Britain's bad, and I say that it's the belly of the beast, but it's like, when you do look at America, it's like, oh my God, you ain't half got a track record. Sorry to say, that's the truth.
No, it is bad, and I've been saying it for decades.
The military being like the police for the Rothschilds and all of that, it's there. Can't ignore it.
Yeah, so you look into the Brown Brothers Harriman, and there's a woman named Pamela Harriman who was 1920s and 1997, and she was a British-born socialite and politician who was U.S. ambassador to France from 93 to 97. She had notably 3 husbands: Winston Churchill's son, Randolph, Broadway producer Leland Hayward, and former New York governor and presidential advisor Averell Harriman, and a string of impressive lovers, including Eli de Rothschild. So, I mean, it's a very interesting connection and how these families have dispersed, into modern day. And are they still pushing their narratives from back then into today? Yeah, and power.
Well, when you told me about Brown Harriman, that's when I pointed out Pamela Harriman. She's famous.
Yeah,
for me,
and I was hoping we could go into
these people, and I call them Mataharas. So they're female, and they're there to sleep with people and kind of infiltrate. And it seems like Barack Obama's mum was one of them. I'd say Pamela Harriman was another. And there's been quite a few of these people. Wow. Mataharis, I would call them.
I mean,
they seem to worm themselves into a position where they're good for intel and influence.
Would you consider Marilyn Manson or Marilyn Monroe? Well, such.
Not a Matahari. Not a Matahari. I think that she was just used. She was obviously like MK Ultra, but like without a doubt. So she was used, but used in a different way. Yeah, she was used in a different way. I don't think any of these, like Barack Obama's mum or even Pamela Harriman, were MK Ultra'd. But I do think that Marilyn Monroe was. She was controlled from being a very young age, drugged, everything,
Yeah, that was bad. Yeah, a lot of different weird connections there too. I would not doubt that as well. And yes, they do have these. They're also, AKA honey traps or, Rachel Chandlers of the world, the Epsteins or the girls maybe Epstein would push on people. But Mac, you had dropped this one. I thought this was an interesting delta. And this is an interesting post in that delta, which I think is worth repeating. So you want to take this one here quick?
Yeah, I mean, you're always looking for connecting the dots. They're not always there, but this one matched up a delta for the exact date. And Trump, there's a video of what he said today. He confirmed it in Trump's Q+. So essentially, he's like, we've got plans. We've got plans down, every detail planned. If you want to play the clip, go for it. It's kind of humorous because we've always been told with the Q, trust the plan. And there's always been a plan. And I think even this Iran war isn't really a war. It's more like strike. They're surgical strikes. They're taking out strategic targets. And I'll leave it there. Maybe we'll get into some of the other stuff later.
Yeah, let's play this just really quickly here. But yeah, and again, right, if they're doing their job right, we should not know what they're doing, is my opinion of this, right? This got wartime going on, and I don't think any soldier that is, in theater, in arena, doing anything would appreciate them saying, oh, Oh, and actually, President Trump actually references that, I think, maybe in this one. If not, I got another link to follow up this one with, which is pretty interesting as well.
We didn't do this for regime change. We did it for fact, and my view was very simple. I saw somebody said, "Oh, he doesn't have a plan." I have the best plan of all, but I'm not going to tell you what my plan is. They want me to say, "Here's my plan. We're going to attack at 9:47 in the morning, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to." And if you don't do that, they say, "I have a plan." People know what the plan is. Everybody here knows what the plan is, but very unfair to say we don't. Because I don't mind being insulted. I've been insulted for many years by the fake news, but you can't. So bad for the people that are so pro. You just saw two great, and John Ratcliffe, three unbelievable people. They have a plan. Every single thing has been thought out by all of us. But I can't reveal the plan to the media. So, but we're just thrilled by the success of this operation. Yeah.
So, I mean, again, you're not going to be telling folks exactly what you're doing while you're in wartime. And just one really quickly before I bring up the old, where do I have? I have my buddy's link, but you know what? You guys, what post was that one, dude? I probably find it on my thing here. I know my buddy reposted it, but you heard what he said too, right? What did he say exactly? 9:47. You can't call him up and say, "Hey, we're gonna hit you at 9:47." What would be interesting? My buddy Matrix Codebreaker posted this one out here, and well, there is. Here we go, guys. Bing. There is post 9:47. Iran next. RT days after Kenya. So we're bringing up Obama again, and he also caught this at the beginning. They're on Fox News. They're talking about this guy's call sign, which happened to be Dude 44. I mean, what are the odds that this guy's call sign wasn't Maverick or Rooster or Iceman? It was Dude 44. Think about that, guys. Does that make sense to any of you out there? It does not to me. So he's definitely all eyes are pointing towards Obama as far as I can see here. But as we kind of bring up the narratives, let's bring up some narrative here. Go ahead.
You were talking there about the rescue of the down pilots. I don't know about you all, but I get a suspicion there might have been another operation going on in that area, and if you want to, I don't know if you got any information on it, but it just kind of rubbed me in a certain way where I was like, I think there's more going on to this, and I came across a couple of things, and I'll let you guys fill us in.
With these so-called, command search and rescue, CSAR, I think they call it. It's like, well, I know all the excuses that they've come up with, but that is a lot of equipment, and you've got the C-130 planes which carry up to 120 men. Yes.
Oh yeah.
With heavy equipment, and then the fact that they supposedly, well, from what I can see, they misjudged. Somebody surveyed this old airstrip, which obviously Iran knew was there. That they used, and they've told us there was wet sand. So that to me says that whoever surveilled it in the first place, given that all of their intel was coming from Israel, from Iran, remember? They told us that. We know that. Or most of their on-the-ground intel. And the planes landed, and it was wet sand, and they say that they couldn't move. But all I can see is like a lot of equipment and a lot of men, even if you're creating a diversion for a couple of people. Yes.
I got both sides of that, Lisa. I got both sides of the story here, so we're gonna get into both.
We never leave a man behind. We know that, so that's one reason. But the operation, I'll go ahead. I'll let Space Shot. I know you got something there.
Just one other thing, and then I'll chime in later. And then this thing about somebody leaked the fact that there was another pilot, and it's like, well, the plane itself has two pilots, you know, one sat behind the other. One does that helps with the weapon system, weapons something officer, and then there's the one that's flying the plane. So we know that there's always two people in those types of planes, you know. But anyway, I've got a lot of questions about that.
We do. We got tons of questions, and again, if we all can put all this stuff together, what is exactly going on right here? If anybody on the internet can all, crowd, put the hive mind together and put all the work together. If we can find out this stuff, they're not doing a good job, in my opinion. So we're going to kind of show you a couple of things here. So let me see how long
I think
is this
that's
one?
the comms, is they throw some innuendos in there, to help us along the way and explaining what's going on. Because, the Q posts were done for a reason, and we know that there was going to be a second term of Trump. So I think we're given the opportunity to kind of learn and understand what's going on here. So it's pretty cool.
And throw in a great Hollywood script,
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, I'm expecting Tom Cruise or somebody to play the pilot that scaled the rock face, and found a crevice.
There'll be a movie.
He's so injured and all of that, and he managed to evade, and he managed to probably cover like hundreds of kilometers in a short space of time and hide himself and all of that. Yeah. And
or that's a diversion.
And the pilot just happened to leave. One of the people happened to leave like a purse with all her ID in there. Not even a smidgen of smoke damage or anything like that. And a MasterCard. Oh, okay.
Hey, you can use it anywhere. I heard you can use the MasterCard anywhere. But in regards to Lisa's previous statement about intel and information, I'm not playing the 2 full minutes here, but let me get a little bit of this out here. Think about people relaying information to President Trump, or say militaries working together as far as intelligence.
But these 2 extraordinary rescues, because it was 2, and as you probably know, we didn't talk about the first one for an hour. Then somebody leaked something, which we'll hopefully find that leaker. We're looking very hard to find that leaker.
Somebody.
And talked about there's somebody missing. They basically said that we have one and there's somebody missing. Well, they didn't know there was somebody missing until this leaker gave the information. So whoever it was, we think we'll be able to find it out, because we're going to go to the media company that released it, and we're going to say, national security, give it up or go to jail. And we know who, and you know who we're talking about.
So I'll throw Mac and Lisa a couple scenarios here. The whole story about the missing guy or the missing second guy could be complete horse doo-doo, completely made up 100%. One guy missing, 2 guys missing. Are they sharing that information at every level with every one of our assets or our allies that are in the region? Or are they telling somebody maybe some bad information to see what information gets out the other side? Lisa, we'll go with you first on this one. I mean, I'm just throwing out possible scenarios, but...
Well, I was following like other sources of information, yes? Or, what people were reporting, and video and all of that kind of thing. And I remember the first thing that happened was all of a sudden, CENTCOM on Twitter or whatever went quiet, didn't say a word. But whilst CENTCOM weren't saying a word, from the Iranian side, there was information coming out about people missing, because they had, local villagers and ex-veterans were reporting to the Iranians about plane activity and all of that. There's a veteran, I don't know, he's probably in about his 70s, 80s or something like that. And he went and got his gun, and there's video, of him shooting at the helicopters. I remember, I think within this speech, Trump said about the helicopters having a lot of bullets, having a lot of holes. But there was a number of it wasn't the Iranian guard that were firing originally. It was the locals that were firing originally. Remember, this is like a remote area, and there's a lot of land to cover. So I don't know. I feel that the Iranians knew that there was somebody missing before anything. Yes. And there was footage as well. There's footage of helicopters flying pretty low. And there was information of some kind of operation. But you see, it's getting like a pattern where they say, oh, there's going to be in 48 hours, in however long, we're going to do this. And then within hours, then America's got an operation going on. Like to me, it's kind of obvious. That's what they do. That's what's been done all the way along.
So the journalist that might have been the leaker is a guy named Amit Segal, and he's a reporter for Israel's Channel 12 and a political analyst with close ties to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. There's an article at the bottom of the chat, and I did a little AI question. But yeah, I mean, it just condensing articles that help me out here, trying to figure out who's the alleged leaker.
Let's take a look. Reporter close to Netanyahu in spotlight as Trump slams leaker and F-15 pilot rescue from Iran. President Donald Trump claimed that someone from the administration leaked. He never said from the administration. He never said that. Leaked critical information of the rescue mission of the F-15 airmen from Iran. So, oh God, dude, my computer, dude, that is just. Did you guys just see my computer go off?
No,
it just went blank. Oh my God, the hell!
But once you're saying that, it has been said that Israel and America have different strategic goals, and the one thing that Netanyahu doesn't want is any ceasefire, even though the Iranians have said they don't want a ceasefire anyway. They from day one have said they want a complete cessation of hostilities in the area, including like Palestine, So, it's interesting because, we get told directly from Trump, they're working closer together than they've ever done before, ever in history, and we know that they're like a tag team. But yet, we still get supposedly, for me, it's like good cop. They're playing good cop, bad cop. That's how it comes.
Trump does a lot of positioning with the media, and he's very good at it. So if he says certain things, then the opposition necessarily can't come back and deny what he's claiming. So therefore, he can control the narrative more and actually tell the truth. But besides that, he's able to deflect from the fake news media and all the propaganda that's coming out of the Iranian side.
Dude, what did they film this thing with?
I don't know. I see the same coming from the fog of war. Like, you got to do it. But I see the same coming from the Trump administration as well. I'm going to say it, But
well, there's a little bit.
There is the fog of war, and that's all. You
got to keep the people at ease while delivering, as much of the truth as possible. I think it was funny earlier today. Trump was asked about how many people went in. Did you see that?
Yeah, and it's like 154 aircraft.
There you go.
Well, I don't.
He was asked about it today at his news conference. Play that clip. It's really funny.
At the bottom there?
Yeah.
All right. And then, all right, let's see.
Military that said it's a wise. And don't forget, how many men did you send altogether, approximately, for the operation?
I'd love to keep that a secret.
Okay, well, we are. But I will tell you, the number, I'll keep it a secret, but it was hundreds. And hundreds of these people, that's pretty good. Is he central casting? But hundreds of people went into this journey. Hundreds of people could have been killed. Forget about the equipment, a lot of equipment, nobody cares. Hundreds of people, military.
Hundreds of people. Now, if you hear some people out there reporting that I will say are totally black-pilled. Oh, Trump doesn't know what he's doing. This thing failed the other day. He's all pissed off and things not going the way he wants. And I mean, does he look like a dude that's like totally stressed out? He's laughing his butt off over here during some very high, very testy conflicts.
Notice the more we get into this, the more the people that say they've been behind Trump that have, are on the news or in social media, they're turning on him because they know something's coming their way. And they just don't want to say it. No one wanted to admit they went to Epstein Island until something came out. So it's very interesting to watch these entities. I think Alex Jones being one of them. He just comes to mind. But there's networks of people that are colluding together to kind of draw this drama up and this hatred toward Trump and the division in MAGA. So I think everyone sees it. It's just I think it's becoming more infiltrated as time goes on because Trump's accomplishing so much more.
I just think more information's coming out. So just like we discussed, that was it Tipton or the other guy that you played, the longtime associate of Trump's. And he said that Todd Blanche was really the one running things because, Pam Bondi does do a lot of Fox News, that seems very important. If you look at the Pentagon and who's the deputy, I can't remember his name, but, that guy runs like some kind of investment fund called Cerberus, which is mentioned over hundreds of times in the Epstein files. Yeah. So I just think there's more information coming out. And I can, to be honest, I can see how these people that you just talked about, Mike, are coming to their conclusions because there's a lot more information coming out, So what is that guy who's mentioned hundreds, whose company is mentioned hundreds of times in the Epstein files? What's he doing as the deputy to the Secretary of War?
Who's what? I'm sorry, I'm dealing with somebody complaining in chat here that I'm putting an icon over my screen. I didn't catch the rest of that. I'm sorry, Mac, if you want to respond. I did not catch that.
I didn't understand the question. Why is that person conversating with the I don't know. I don't have an answer. But I need more.
I'm just saying that there's more information coming out. And say, I can understand how people, their narratives are being fed because this information is coming out. Yes. And I just used an example of the deputy to Pete Hegseth. Yes. Remember the deputy Todd Blanche. And we've just been told that he's the one who's really running things. And we talked about him. And then you go to the Pentagon and you go, so this guy who's the deputy to Hegseth, and we know that Hegseth is there as a presenter, then this guy with all of the finance experience who runs a company called Cerberus, which you look into the Epstein files and it's mentioned hundreds of times. You've got to question why.
What kind of company is it?
Cerberus is an investment company. Yeah. So do you see what I mean? All I'm saying is if you just take those facts, you can look it up, by the way, then I can see why people are asking questions.
Absolutely.
Well, as I said before, I understand that too, but I'm going to reiterate it. Sun Tzu in the what they called
Art of
War. Yeah. He's using the people that are infiltrated and guilty as his pawns in order to get things accomplished because they know that they're implicated. And he is using that to milk them dry. And then at the end, he'll slam dunk it. I mean, all the executive orders and everything are in place for him to do it. I think there's a big, stages to this. Iran was one of the stages, as we know, on the Q posts. We know Israel's for last, and there's other things I'm sure mixed in that I can't remember right now. But there's a definite dot connecting, and the way I've noticed is how this is played out is they put them into light so that we get educated who these people are, so we can hold them accountable as well. I mean, we still have not gotten the full story behind the Epstein thing, like you were saying, and there's supposed to be more files coming out. It's just, as we've been talked about, there's multiple investigations ongoing globally into Epstein. And even one being his ranch, the Zorro Ranch, which could have multiple dead bodies on it. So there seems to be a lot to this whole situation, and it involves all the powerful people. So I'm curious to see how this is going to pan out. I think it's done for a reason,
I would
a
also say
calculative reason.
I would also say a person like Lutnick too, right? So very close to Epstein, but no, I didn't know him, and da 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 da. But there are millions of us out here that are keeping notes and absolutely wanting the same thing, to see some justice for these people.
And it's very well known that throughout history, the CIA, there are good guys in the CIA, have used people of prominent power, wealth, notoriety, celebrity status for information. They use corporations as well, and they'll use that. So who's not to say that we've already known that President Trump blew the whistle on Epstein. How do we not know that he wasn't working on other things? He mentions Pizzagate in the past. He hasn't been working on this for a long time and uncovering this cabal. And we were just talking about the whole Bush connection to Obama and how that dates back all the way to, at least Prescott Bush. It's wild. So I have my questions as well, because Trump is a motivated person, and you know what he's trying to do here. He's explained it for I don't know how many years straight. So for
me, the same thing there's the same patterns where you get the connection between high government, intel agencies, corporations, and elite people, because they're like the cabal, yes, and that kind of cabal ring, it kind of exists almost everywhere, So we know that all of the big tech companies, or most of the big tech companies, they got their seed money from Inkitel, which is CIA money, Google, Meta, all of them. And then that connection between all of those and the military industrial complex. So it is very complex, I would say, very, very complex, and deep infiltration. And it doesn't matter if you look at the UK or you look at America, it's the same all over. That's the way that it works. If you look at Fidel Castro, has anybody looked into his background? Did you know that he's a Jesuit? Did you know that he comes from a family of kind of priests, where they wear the black hat, the white collar, the long black kind of coat? You'll find pictures of him with his ancestors, kind of somehow related to the popes, the old popes. So he has a family, he comes from a family bloodline, and then we know the connection between him and Justin Trudeau, who looks exactly like him. And his mum, Trudeau's mum, was very friendly with Castro, So it's just, for me, there are deep connections, and the network is vast, huge, and wide, and probably encompasses every position of influence,
Absolutely.
whether that's financially, politically, and socially, because that is how you kind of tie a country down. Yeah.
Which has been done to every country out there. Absolutely. All right, guys, we got a lot of stories still to get to here. U.S. Central Com on Easter, which, I don't know, they probably all say this, I'm sure, but boom. I don't know what hook means. Hook something, maybe, LLM, but thought that was interesting. Boom. Now, we talked about the rescue of the F-15 pilot. Okay. Then, well, let me ask you, before we start and actually go into here, would you think it would be, it's a worthy cause if it was not that we went into Iran to save a pilot, but rather we knew they had uranium and we were going after said uranium? Would you think that would be a valiant effort, or would you characterize that as something as a fool's errand, so to speak?
I personally think that it's a possible thing because from the research I've done, there seems to be some missing enriched uranium from back in the day. And I don't know if it was plutonium or uranium, but it was enriched nuclear materials. So if that story is true and they went around where the area, I guess, is that it's stored, then that's a good possibility that there was a second operation.
I think I read somewhere that, like, say, Isfahan, which we know is a place
We're gonna get into that. Hold on, Lisa, hold on. We're gonna get into that. We're gonna cover all of that. But just the question first: is that a valiant effort or is that a fool's errand?
It depends, because it could have been forward operations. You send some people in, they kind of sort things out, ready for whatever event to take place. There's always preparations, so it depends. Because, you lost a lot of equipment. I don't know how much money all of that was worth. Like 2 C-130s, 2 helicopters, what they call a little bird.
Yes.
That.
We're gonna get into that. But is that a good thing or a bad thing? No, good or no? Like, say we knew they had uranium, we knew where it was, we're going after it. Good or bad?
Don't know, because then my brain spins into how do you get the uranium out, and you're going to need a lot of work, and obviously it's not overground, it's underground, and that's another story to be able to deal with.
So no answer on that one. So I'm going back to this one here. What did this guy film this thing through? A friggin' potato lens? Because this one's slightly better, but whatever. All right, so we have uranium stories of a uranium op. All right, so I'm just giving you narratives out here, and seems plausible to me. In short, President Trump had hoped that he would be able to execute a highly risky extraction operation to get a hold of highly enriched uranium on the 3rd and 4th of April 26, post and which he could declare by victory on Easter. The F-15E, which was shot down on such a mission to smother and take out Iranian air defenses in Isfahan, like Lisa mentioned, are making way for such an HEU extraction, highly enriched uranium, HEU, extraction operation to be carried out. However, Iranians armed with manpads and air defense systems, drones, detected the air intrusion in that area and foiled the plans of the U.S. military to extract the HEU from Isfahan tunnels. There were visible marks of an air defense system hits on the body of C-130s, as is visible from the images of the crash site, which indicates that aircraft came under fire while landing, rendering them inoperable to fly back. Further, Iranian Basij forces tried to reach landing site, but they were likely deterred by U.S. air support in favor of its ground troops insertion. Having its cover been blown of the covert operation, U.S. military personnel destroyed its inoperable jets, aborting the mission and calling upon backup 3-8 aircrafts to extract them of a failed mission. The broader implications of these events extend beyond the immediate tactical outcome. The ability of Iranian air defenses to engage and potentially down advanced U.S. aircraft within central Iran challenges assumptions regarding air superiority in the region. The apparent detection and disruption of a large-scale SOF insertion further underscores the effectiveness of Iranian surveillance and response capabilities. For the United States and its allies, the episode raises questions about the operational planning, risk assessment, and the limits of covert action in contested environments. The old assumptions by the Americans that Iran's air defense systems and missiles and drones capability systems have been substantially degraded have turned out to be gross exaggerations. The Iranians, however, undeterred, refused to negotiate and give away the strategic leverage gained by controlling Strait of Hormuz, which supplies 20% of the world's energy and oil, gas, and the cargo. It would, however, be foolish to believe any de-escalation is in offering, as U.S. would once again try insertions and raids in Iran, probably next at Karg Island, Keshem Island, or Greater Tumb or Lesser Tumb Islands in the Strait of Hormuz. Such insertion operations are again fraught with danger given Iranian air defense systems are still intact, as we have seen over the last few days. So that is from Navroop Singh. And I forgot who he was. Attorney, IPR attorney, constitutionalist, proud Sanatani. I don't know what that is. Great Reset, co-author of The New Global Order and founder of Niti Shastra. So, thoughts on that one, guys?
It's quite. I think it's quite plausible. You know, from the beginning, we've been told that Iran have no or that there is air superiority by America. And we've been told that Iran have no missiles, no navy, and there was no something else. And actually, it's quite the opposite. You know, we know from the sustained and precision targeting of their targets. They put out a list and then they hit them, and that's happened each time. And every time there's been an escalation, they have retaliated quite hard on the Gulf states and American assets in the Gulf, which includes the air bases. 13 air bases were bombed pretty early on, and they've continued to bomb embassies, hotels where military had been staying. More recently, just over the last 24 hours, I think you'll find targets hit in Kuwait, Bahrain. The list goes on. It's too many to mention, really. But more recently, the media have been coming out and saying that, Iran has been underestimated. Yes, and that could be true. But the fact that we're told there's no navy, and it's you hit a boat that's 20 odd years old, like a warship that's 20 odd years old, but their modern navy they don't really count the warships. You know, they've got a certain terrain. Small boats with cruise missiles, more apt and more beneficial than probably large warships, because the large warships can't actually get close. The large warships provide the resources for any type of invasion. And at the moment, the American warships are something like 13. The nearest one is 1,300 miles away. Now, these planes that they use in these operations and the helicopters, you know, you got to look at the distance that they can fly without refueling, you know, or needing refuel or needing supplies. But anyway, I'm just going to leave it there. There could well be something in this. You know, it was a cover for another operation that didn't go too well because it was discovered. Maybe, you know, but as I say, there was a lot of information about locals reporting activity. Yes. And there was one guy, and he said, I spoke to the Iranian Guard, whatever they're called, and they told me that these were not friendlies. And the guy, there's a video of from the back of the guy where he's firing on these helicopters from his property, you know? And we know that they have a lot of support within their country.
Yeah, I saw
that one. Yeah.
Mr. Maxer, and I do have further information on this one to show you from somebody else who's countering them being regular A130s or AC130s, but something else. So we'll get into that in a minute. But any comments on that one, brother?
Just that the planes can come from anywhere. There's military bases around too, so not just from carriers. I don't think, but there have been, I think, over 40,000 people, Iranians, killed that have protested. So the civilians themselves are being held hostage essentially against their will because they don't want to go out and protest because they'll get shot on the spot. So
they're not. They're protesting every single night, Mike. Every single night since this started, they've had people out on the street, and a lot of people, all ages, men and women, every single night. Every single night.
So what I'm saying, there's 40,000 people have been killed. So that's pretty significant.
And then do we know whether that narrative is actually true? Do we know?
It came from President Trump.
I know, but still, there's the fog of war. You know, we just established.
I don't think he'd be lying about it, but
you don't always tell the truth, Mike, because you can't if you're the president.
He's not gonna lie about people dying.
Why not? Because we like say,
I just don't think he would.
Every war that, like, say, America have got into, we've always been sold a story. Every single one, whether that was Iraq or whatever, we've been sold a story about what they did. That's just a pattern. That's not me saying it.
President Trump has championed his whole political career on being transparent. So
yeah, but we just when he said there's 154 aircraft, and we know that's not true.
154. He said hundreds of people, which there actually were.
Well, all right. I'm going to check something. I'll come back to you.
Right, and this I just looked up. Iran killing locals. That's all I just did on this, and this came up 18 minutes ago. Kurdish woman and whatever killed by Iranian Iraqi Shia terrorist attack last night. 6 and 9-year-old children. I don't know. And again, I'm not there, so let me read you guys another one here. This one. No, not this one. All right, so this guy is a retired special operations officer. So I think this was part of maybe a Substack of him, maybe. Though I'm not an aircraft surgeon, nor I don't even know what that is. Connuurationist fator. I don't know what that means. I have some thoughts that may be an interest presented in 3 points. A conclusion, a hypothesis regarding U.S. rescue operation in Iran with consideration to the photos of the aircraft used. I've flown on the C-130Hs and the MC-130Js in training and in combat, to include static line airborne operations, military freefall halo operations, combat, Kobani landing zone, North Syria, blah, 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 blah. So we put a lot of places that he's been. Point 1, important to note that the aircraft used in this operation were not the standard C-130 Hercules models, which have 4-blade steel propellers. See picture 2. The fixed-wing aircraft used were the MC-130J Commando II, operated by the U.S. Air Force Special Operations Command for clandestine operations. The MC-130J uses 6-bladed Doughty R391 composite propellers, see picture 1. These blades are constructed from composite materials, specifically featuring a carbon fiber structure rather than metal aluminum used on older C-130 models. Point 2, carbon fiber does not melt in the traditional sense, as it does not turn into a liquid. However, the resin matrix holding the fibers does melt and becomes viscous. Viscous? Let's see. Point 3, steel and aluminum blades snap and break. MC-130J R391 blades shatter and can melt. The images we see from the destroyed aircraft, picture 6, show 6 blades. Therefore, these are the MC-130J Doughty blades that can melt. As you can see in pictures 4 and 5, when not melted, but rather broken, they shred and snap. They do not bend. As you can see from the steel and aluminum variant on the C-130H model, the blades snap and break and bend. They do not shatter or melt. Conclusion, to declare that the aircraft definitely were shot down based on the, quote, bent propellers is false. Could the aircraft have been shot down? Yes. Could the aircraft have been shot down and the blades melted in the extreme heat of the fire from the BIP blown in place? Yes. Both can be true, but it also can be true that the aircraft was not shot down nor crash landed, and the propellers do indicate burning and melting, not a crash. Hypothesis. The rescue operation expanded to become the desired Delta Force, JSOC, SOF, ST6 high-risk operation to also seize the uranium in Iran, hence the need for so many operators, support aircraft, etc. This was intended to be that operation. It failed. So what happened to the aircraft? I do not believe they were stuck. I have seen MC-130Js plow through dirt, mud, snow, gravel, etc. I doubt they were stuck. It is more likely the aircraft took hits upon entry and also likely took hits and damage while on the ground at the hasty FARP at the old airfield in Isfahan, conveniently close to where the suspected uranium may have been stored. Lesson: a ground war into Iran will be very costly and be a tactical, operational, and strategic failure. Clausewitz. So von Clausewitz is total war, total destruction, right?
Well, that's where, when I said about, it started with the locals firing on planes and realizing that planes, remembering that Iran is a huge country, huge to cover, So the Iranians can't be expected to cover absolutely all of it, and given the terrain that they've got. And then it kind of makes sense, because I looked at it and I was going, even for a search and rescue, Mac, I know about not leaving a man behind and all of that kind of thing, but it's a lot of equipment, like a lot of equipment. And especially at this particular juncture of the war, and I'm going to call it a war, not military operations. I'm calling it a war, just the same as President Trump has been calling it. So I just think it's very interesting. And then the fact that, the planes were destroyed, or two of those C-130Js, whatever they were called, were actually destroyed because they couldn't be moved. So therefore they would bring in, those three other planes to extract all of those people, And then I don't know, I've got a picture, don't know whether you want it, and you can literally see somebody's skull in the wreckage, There is somebody in there that is dead. And I think we were told that there were no injuries today as part of the Easter announcement.
That turned out to be fake. The burnt body in that thing, it was a fake. It was not what they said it was. It was debunked.
Well, it just seems, that guy's, anyway, that guy's saying that we're fired upon. I think they were fired upon. I've seen enough information to see that there was fire. They were fired upon,
One thing I found interesting is Ratcliffe made a statement, it's in the chat, about President Trump had covert actions that he could use, only the president could use. So that guy talking about, what he knew as far as planes and so forth, the CIA was definitely involved, and he had some sort of equipment, soldiers, all the above that he could use for this. So again, very much like a special operations mission, and I just find, and it's under 50 USC 413B. Covert action is defined as an activity intended to influence foreign political, economic, or military conditions where the U.S. government's role is not apparent or publicly acknowledged.
So we know that the CIA and, in fact, something interesting, President Trump actually admitted to providing, like, the Kurdish. He suggested it, made a suggestion publicly some time ago about possibly arming, like, the Kurdish separatist rebels, whatever you want to call it. But I think in the last, 24 hours, he actually admitted that they gave them guns, but they didn't use them.
It was for the Iranians, the protesters is what he said, and then they ended up taking it, so that there's going to be a consequence to pay for taking the weapons that were supposed to go to the Iranian protesters.
Well, yeah. So that says that there was an operation, and we know that Mossad were on the ground in Iran. We absolutely know that to be true. So it says to me that the CIA and Mossad were working. Back to your 40,000 people. I'm just kind of analyzing it. 40,000 protesters were killed, and it's like, well, actually, you had the Americans and the Israelis and the CIA purposely arming those protesters. And I know that Iran found they found weapon stores, and they actually probably killed. Now, this is speculation, but I'm just saying, what would you do if you found that protesters were being armed to rise up against you? Yes? And being set up by the CIA and Mossad. What would you do? Okay. Right. So, but what we've been told is that they just killed protesters for nothing because they were protesting. Do you see what I'm saying? I'm saying the fog of war. Like, you can
but the protesters didn't have weapons to defend themselves, so they just got killed. The protesters didn't have weapons or guns, so they just ended up killing them.
They did have weapons and guns, because we know, and it's been admitted that they were given weapons and guns, and
it never got to them because the Kurds took it.
Well, I thought the Kurds were given it, and they just didn't use it.
The Kurds took it and then used it for something else. I forget what it was.
So that's what I'm saying. So they didn't use it for what they were. It was the purpose that they were given. So then, when you go back to the protesters in Iran that were being armed by America and Israel, then they would be. To me, they would be dealt with. And how would you deal with it in America? You would call them traitors. Do you know what I mean? And they would be treated as the enemy, as in the law of war manual. You can do that. If somebody's going to take up arms against you, then you treat them as the enemy. And at the same time, they would lose their citizenship. They wouldn't be treated as a citizen of your country. That's how it goes in the law of war. So I'm just saying, then I apply the same to Iran, without any bias.
Again, fog of war. We don't know what's going on. We don't know if the scenario that was just discussed for the last 2 minutes was correct or not, because a few minutes ago we were just saying we didn't know if 40,000 people were killed at all, right? So were they killed, yes or no? Were they indiscriminately killed by the Iranian people? We don't know. Were they killed because the U.S. gave them guns? We don't know. So the answer here is, again, fog of war. We don't know. But I feel like, and I understand it's not. I understand it's not your president, Lisa, but it is our president. So of course we're going to support our president, and obviously not at the detriment to ourselves, of course. But I think we have so many people out there worldwide too. I would venture to say there's a lot of people even in your country that are waiting for something to switch, or a switch to flip. And because we have so many people worldwide, I would venture to say multiple tens of millions of people that are just not happy with the run-of-the-mill way, the world is run, and the way all of this fraud is being put on us.
Without a doubt, absolutely agree.
And I've not seen, this level of fraud being exposed in the last many years, except for under, President Trump here. So it's been getting absolutely wild here. And, what could be coming too soon, Lisa, we have our friend Kirill. Kirill. So would you take information from a Russian verse? Well, I might actually, but so this is what he's saying, Lisa, coming soon. Go ahead if you got something.
I was just going to say, has anybody I've been keeping an eye on what's been going on in the Ukraine as well, and it's like, whoa, dear, and what Ukraine have been up to. We need to talk about that one.
Yeah, and Hungary.
Yes. Yes, and you just can never make everybody happy. So to the person who doesn't like when I do this and put an image on the screen while I'm changing the stories, I'm sorry, but I do it, just so you guys don't see this all the time. I think it looks a little better than doing this, just to put an image to cover the screen. So let's not, find the little things to complain about. But anyway, Kirill is saying The EU and the UK were desperately hiding how anti-Trump they really are for as long as they could to continue receiving preferences and support on Ukraine. This historic and undervalued chart proves the abyss between the UK and the EU and MAGA. EU and UK is Biden and Kamala land, it's saying. So he put this out yesterday or today. Oh, good. Let me just finish this part up.
Yeah.
So there's a lot in this 2024 chart of Kamala versus Trump voting preferences by country and opposition sides of the spectrum. Denmark was 96% Kamala, 4% Trump. Russia was 22% Kamala, 78% Trump. Most EU nations are hardcore anti-Trump according to the chart, which makes sense, right? But are those elections even, legit? I don't know, Lisa. What do you got?
Well, I think the audience to the show have been well informed about how anti-Trump the EU and the UK are, because I've been harping on about it since we started the show, and I'm not letting them off. And that's what I mean about dropping my bias. I'm not. I'm purposely making sure that my own bias isn't involved in the opinions that are formed or given, and also the discernment that I'm using. So I've been knocking, I'm the one who's been saying, look, Starmer hates your guts, Trump. And the BBC work with the British government control the BBC and all of that, and about the EU. I as I say, I live in the belly of the beast, so I'm not pulling any punches or trying to minimize anything. I'm trying to tell people that that's exactly the way that it is, and these people are so slippery. And they really do hate Trump because Trump represents everything that they are against. These are socialists, communists, and making a lot of money and all of that kind of thing. And they can't deal with the Ukraine without the help of America, but they got the help of America. So.
And I think one big thing that we're being shown is how much money is actually going to these entities that aren't even going back to the people of other countries. We're getting stolen from left and right, but then they're supposed to go to another country to help something else out, and it doesn't even, do anything. So, I forget how many billions of dollars Iran's got, but none of that money's, from the U.S., none of that money's gone to fix up their roads and infrastructure. So that's just an example, but the list is ongoing.
No, the thing with Iran though is, remember 47 years of sanctions. So they are actually a country that is pretty much self-sufficient, and I think that they've, if it was, they've done pretty well in making sure that they're self-sufficient. But that's out of the nature of the beast that they're dealing with having all of the sanctions. So, for example, the drones and the missiles, those are domestic industries for them. They're not really domestic industries for other countries. Well, they haven't. Their other countries have not taken it that far, and that's something that has benefited them in withstanding the onslaught from America and Israel.
Yeah, and to be sanctioned, you got to do something pretty bad, and human rights abuses, and having a nuclear program. Yeah, that's what they did, and support groups for designated terrorist organizations. Yeah, so it's been over decades they've been participating in this. So it's not just an overnight occurrence.
Yeah, but we also know that sanctions
saying the CIA or anybody else didn't back that, but we're fixing it now.
Yeah, but look at how many sanctions against Russia. It seems like every month there are more sanctions against Russia, and have been for decades now. They didn't want Russia to join NATO, although, behind the scenes, they wanted to go in there and control Russia like they did do before. with the Bolshevik revolution or whatever, when they killed the Russian royal family and basically took it over, and kind of dissolved the USSR, or were party to that. But for me, I look at sanctions. You can look at them in the way that you said, but also in a way where it's used to control countries as well. Like
Russia.
There is this elite world control. I don't think that it's always for good other reasons than money and control, because it's right there, staring us in the face. And how well are sanctions playing out for Europe and the UK now with Russia? And actually, what's going to happen is, that those sanctions are being kind of overridden. Even Japan have approached Russia to get oil. Yes. And
I think President Trump encouraged people to buy oil from Russia.
Yeah, but
and he lifts some sanctions from them. Yeah.
No, he definitely had to. He had to. He had no choice.
Yeah.
No choice at all. And it lifted sanctions against Iran as well. Russia, I think he said for 28 days or something, or was that Iran for 28 days? But anyway, he's got no choice in the matter, given the global economies. Yes, there may be some kind of plan to crash the global economies, but it's going to cause a lot of hardship. And, people haven't got fertilizer. And your farmers need fertilizer too, So the Straits of Hormuz, something's going to have to happen, but I don't think that Iran are actually, right now I'm hedging on probably Iran will keep control of the Straits of Hormuz, because they already are, They don't need much control. Yeah, absolutely.
I think Trump just totally wants the Strait. The United States is going to have nothing to do with controlling that. He says it's up to them. I think 1% of our trade goes through the Strait of Hormuz right now. So, it's going to be up to the new leadership of Iran, whatever that is, and the surrounding countries that use it. I think Japan is coming to help out, and there might be a few others that I'm forgetting.
But the thing is, it still does have an effect. What's going on in the Strait of Hormuz, without a doubt, has a massive effect on global economies and certain commodities. And those certain commodities do affect the United States domestically. I just wouldn't, minimize that, because the fertilizer that your farmers need does come through, a lot of it comes through the Straits of Hormuz. So
we went over it a couple episodes ago. It's urea. Yeah. So other places can make it just as easy. It's just a chemical process. So there may be some rerouting too. I think Saudi Arabia is starting to use their pipeline and using that to pump, I think, 7 million gallons a day or something like that. Barrels, not gallons.
Ukraine playing with some more pipelines out there again? They trying to do something?
I think Ukraine's trying to mess up Hungary and the energy flow. They're really trying to be a nuisance and hold, I think countries hostage and blackmail them is what Orban's been saying.
And also, sending men out there with explosives to try and blow it up. It's kind of like Ukraine are, one, trying to get attention, two,
look at me.
And remember me, yes?
Yeah, remember us.
the Iran war has really messed them up, or messed up their program. They were going to get 90 billion from the EU, Europe. They're all going to come together and give them 90 billion. It was Orban that opposed that, and other countries as well. Then he kind of made up some excuse about not letting oil through a particular pipeline. Now, Hungary, President Trump gave them an exception because they've always got their fuel from Russia. Yes. So when there were sanctions against Russia, Hungary were fine to just continue as they were. And there's a particular pipeline. I don't know what it's called, Drozba or something like that, and it goes through Hungary, Turkey, and a couple of other countries. Now, all of those countries that house that pipeline have now come together because a group of men were found with explosives, ready to blow it up. And so each country is looking after their part of the pipeline, and it includes Turkey as well, So it seems that Ukraine trying to, insert themselves. They're trying to insert themselves in the Iran war, like, hey, Saudi Arabia, Gulf states, we can give you drone technology where we have eyes where other people don't. Liars, absolute liars, But yes, they have been using drone technology a lot more than other countries. And then at the same time, he's been going around begging for money as well. So he's been to the Gulf States, yeah. And there's an interview that he gave, and I'm telling you, he looks like he's completely off his nut. He's slurring his words, and his eyes are all over the place. Like he's just drunk a couple of bottles of whiskey or something. It's just really terrible, really, really terrible. And this guy, the new puppet,
Is he a terrorist?
Well, yeah, but
ISIS, I thought.
Yeah, absolutely. So but I'm not sure that I'm not even sure how long he's going to last. But he's been doing a Zelensky by going around meeting people. You think he was in London not that long ago, meeting Prince Charles and Queer Starmer,
Queer Starmer. Yeah. Oh, this is the one, Lisa. And I know I didn't have the story personally, and so here we go. We're not making that one person happy. There we go. Bing. I'm pulling the story over, so I block it with an image. Get over it.
Doesn't that guy look awfully familiar to like the guys in the Q posts with McCain and stuff?
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up because I want to bring that one up next.
Mustafa.
Soccer Moaz.
Yeah, I don't even know these guys, but yeah, just the face. He looks very, very similar.
Yeah. So this person says the UK is an Islamic State. This is ISIS terrorist Ahmed al-Shara. He was a jihadist and fought against NATO troops in Iraq, and they're thankfully holding up blurred images, what look like heads. If I were to guess, I would say it's probably two heads. But thankfully, they blurred it, and it says Queer Starmer welcoming ISIS terrorist Ahmed al-Shara, who is now president of Syria and in charge of a regime which is persecuting Christians. Act of treason. Starmer needs to go now. Yeah, bad guy. Let me see. There was one more here. This is what I want to get away. Minute and a half. Let's see. Here we go. Okay, so we'll do it this way. It was Easter Sunday, guys. If ever there was a day that should be about peace and tranquility, today is it. In comparison, we have recently received a report from our Serbian friends that someone tried to blow up the Turkish Stream gas pipeline in Serbia. This is the pipeline that will guarantee Hungary's secure gas supply. In the last few days and weeks, the Ukrainians have organized an oil blockade. Against us, they tried to put us under a total energy blockade by firing dozens of drones at the Turkish Stream pipeline while it was still on Russian territory. And now we have this incident today where Serbian colleagues found enough explosives to blow up the pipeline and enough explosives to blow it up next to the Turkish Stream pipeline. We reject in the strongest possible terms any further attack on our sovereignty, because an attack on the security of our energy supply cannot be interpreted as anything other than an attack on our sovereignty. But we will defend ourselves. We will defend ourselves together with the Serbs. We will defend the security of our energy supply, and we will not allow ourselves to be forced to buy energy resources more expensively and from less secure sources than we do now. Because if the Turkish Stream pipeline were to fail, we would only be able to buy natural gas at many times the current price, which would mean that the cuts in the price of gas would be over here in Hungary. But as long as they see us as long as Hungary has a national sovereign government, we will defend ourselves. We will defend our energy security, and we will defend the cuts. We will not allow the Hungarian people to be charged 3 times the current utility prices. That's great. I mean, put them on blast, right? If they are trying to do that, whoever is trying to do it, put them on blast.
It's the EU. So basically, because Orban, first of all, I just want to go back to Zelensky. Literally threatened Orban, threatened his life, threatened his family life, and said he was going to send his equivalent of the Secret Service. And it's like he got a little slap on the wrist. That's like Zelensky going to see Trump and saying, "I'm going to kill you," right? Very soon. If you don't agree to sanction the, when I say sanction, I mean vote for the EU to give me $90 billion. Now, why would the EU give him $90 billion when he hasn't sorted out all of the corruption? So where that's going to go. To another mansion, somebody's bank account, proven.
Somebody's nose.
Yeah, that's it. Rolled up.
Another mansion in the United States.
Yeah, so and then, you've got this kind of dichotomy going on where because Orban was saying no to that, then the EU were looking to maybe kick him out of the EU and take a vote where his vote isn't counted. Do you see what I mean? Doesn't that seem a bit strange?
They're just bullying.
Yeah, they're trying to, and then the subterfuge with the Ukraine. So the Ukraine have been firing drones from NATO territory. So they've been using countries around the Baltic Sea. So, they've been firing over Estonia and things like that, or Estonia found a Ukrainian drone. They're trying to hit. Anyway, it's all messed up, but it does seem like, the EU and the UK have two faces.
Oh wow!
Yeah, 100%.
And they use and we know that the Russia Ukraine is kind of a proxy war, but you can also look at it as in NATO, including America. Are you trying to weaken Russia? Yes. On the face, because that's what it seems to me that that's got to be part of it, and especially all the sanctions and all of that, but also building up nuclear weapons on Russia's doorstep. What would you do?
They've been telling for a long time.
Think about it. If Ukraine does get the $60 billion, I mean, obviously a lot of it's are they going to have to buy weapons, right? And who are they going to buy them from?
Which they can't get.
but
Nobody has them.
Yeah, you buy them from the United States. You'd have to buy them from the United States.
Yeah, but you're also in a position where you can't fulfill contracts that you've got with it already signed with Switzerland and other places, and at the same time you are having to take back weapons or systems that you've already put out there that are supposed to defend your allies, that you're supposed to protect. Like the THAAD radar systems and stuff like that, the one taken from South Korea. What is South Korea going to do? Because if China attack, anyway, there's a few narratives that it's
showing a lot of countries' weaknesses. I know what you're saying because of the weapons that they purchased it from. So now that America is exposed, that they can shoot. I think President Trump said 110, something like that, missiles, and they shot down 110 of them. It's and then you have missiles that can't reach the targets. There's all these different types of technologies that seem to be at play that are able to beat their weapon systems, which is impressing the other big powers because they have satellites too, and they can see what's going on.
Well, at the moment, the Iranians are being helped by the Chinese satellite system, which is called Beidou. And they're also being helped by Chinese, just Chinese civilians. So it was a Chinese civilian that an IT specialist that helped them figure out how to get the F-35s and the F-15s. Yes, like literally, he published it on the web, and they used it. They're able to adapt their systems and their missiles like on the spot. That's what's been happening. I could explain the whole way that they do it, because remember, the F-35s have been out for quite some time and they've never been hit. And they're not able to be detected by ordinary radar. So they use like heat detection. And their missiles have heat detection. And they include, commercial technology. What? Commercial technology? Mobile phone technology. A Starlink, so the missiles basically have eyes, yes? And the radar systems for America, the THAAD radar systems, I think it's about 8 or more that have actually been taken out. So you're missing eyes at the moment. The THAAD radar system, I think one part of it cost over $1 billion. Yeah, they've been taken out. They've been hit. But anyway, it's. I think it's all, and I'm telling you, I've been into this like really, Mike. You're saying, and by the way, I'm looking at so much information. It is like a Bible's worth, like almost every day, and I cannot, I can't even keep up with it myself. But I am the information that I'm giving you. I'm kind of, triangulating it from lots of different sources. And I can't possibly post it. I don't have time, I don't have time. But honestly, you can look all this up. The Beidou, I think, I can't remember. I know it starts with BEID. I don't know the rest of it. But have a look at that system. And that is what they're using. And that is why they've been so successful. And the THAAD radar system and the Iron Dome, at the moment, they are only detecting 5% of what is sent. So they're not able to deal with either swarm missiles or the types of missiles that they've got. And they've got a lot of different types.
Hey, Lisa, really quickly, before I move to another story here, you had mentioned like how Iran keeps giving them like people warnings, like, hey, we're about to hit this, we're about to hit that. Are they doing that same thing for Israel, or are they just kidding them?
They're with Israel, they are telling them. They're telling them. Listen, they've been really consistent in saying what they're going to hit, and they've hit it. And I think they've been using it as a kind of, this is what we can do. They're showing what they can do. And I'm not joking. They've been consistent from day one. It's like, here's a list of targets. We're going to hit them. And they've hit them. And they haven't really, they've just been consistent is all I can say.
Yeah,
really.
We're seeing, reports in Iran of them getting whacked left and right for sure. So, but yeah, it's interesting. I've never, maybe to the point of like, hey, nah, we're going to hit, location A, and then we do. But beyond that, I've just never heard of that in the history. But maybe, I'm not a battle scholar by any chance, by any sort.
It hasn't been happening from the Israel and America point of view. So it seems that, Israel and America, because a lot of what Iran has is underground. They may have some intelligence, but they haven't been able to, find their main sources of production and stuff like that. So more recently, like the past couple of weeks, they've just been hitting civilian places, locations, and they're not saying what they're not saying. They're not giving any advance warning at all. But Iran have given advance warning, like, the American companies that based in the Gulf, they gave a list of them and they're saying, get out. Even with the embassies, they've said, get out before we hit them. And I think that's interesting, you know. But that has not come. That has not been relayed from America and Israel, who seem to be bombing like just any civilian, the universities, the this, the that, you know, the hospitals and a bridge. It's like a civilian bridge, you know, best bridge in the whole of the Gulf in the Middle East, you know, double tapped, you know. So in other words, it wasn't a mistake; it was double tapped, and it feels like they may be having issues with the fact that everything's hundreds of meters underground. You know, like how do you find it? You might know where some things are, like Isfahan, Natanz, is it, or whatever, with the nuclear, but the rest of it is spread all over, and they've had like all of these years to get all that sorted. So if you wonder where money's gone, a lot of money has been invested in making sure that, you know, they've taken a lead from North Korea. You know, build it underground, don't build it overground, and that's what they've done. You know, and then they've got the mountains, which are granite and all of that kind of thing. You know, and I don't know. It's a pretty good way to find things. Yeah, there is, but at the same time, we're seeing, you know, if you look at the onslaught of missiles, yes, they're hitting Iran, but also, you know, look at what's been hit in Israel. You know. Israel is being Tel Aviv, all of these different places. You know, they're being hit, re-hit, and they're being successful. Absolutely. A lot of people moving out. So, did you know about the 300,000 Israelis moving to Argentina?
You're going to meet up with the rest of the Germans?
Patagonia. So they're doing a mini Israel. And then, you know, Israel are trying to buy up islands in Greece as well, and turning up on the beaches in Cyprus.
Didn't they want to get to Ukraine? I thought they wanted Ukraine back. But yeah, just really quickly, Lisa, I did cover that. The bridge that they were saying, oh, they just hit a bridge and oh, it's BS. And it's like, no, that bridge was not a functioning bridge, and they were basically using it to move missiles from Tehran to one other area. And the double tap the school thing is going around. You can literally look double tap up on Twitter. That's going around. Oh, no, they double tapped the school. Well, stop throwing missiles from school. Stop going to a school and setting up a missile barrage at a school, if that's what you're doing. You know, so there's a lot of disinfo, and even some of those missile radar systems, there's one of them that's out there, shows half of it or a quarter of it on fire, and that one was known to be AI as well. But I'm not saying that they're not, because they clearly are doing damage in Iran and other areas as well. A lot of their local areas, their local neighbors as well. So let's move to this one here really quick. Now, this is a post, I had this up a little while ago here, February 10th.
This is huge.
2026. February 10th. Why is Mike bringing up a 2-month-old story? Trump's about to cancel Obama's most outrageous power grab. President Trump is on the brink of ordering a massive policy shakeup, the largest act of deregulation in the history of the United States, says EPA Agency Chief Lee Zeldin, when Trump's EPA orders the end of a 2009 finding that greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide are a threat to public health. It will halt 16 years of federal efforts to mandate vast changes in American life without legal justification. The so-called endangerment finding led to a host of regulations whose estimated costs exceeded $1 trillion. So we know the whole, climate scam and all this crap. Early in his administration, President Barack Obama tried to get Congress to pass an expansive climate change law. When the bill stalled, Obama charged ahead with executive action. The EPA's December 2009 endangerment findings said greenhouse gases should be regulated under the Clean Air Act. But when that law was never meant for such a purpose, it had passed 40 years earlier, before global warming was even a topic of debate. So, they talk about greenhouse gases. I could pull you up a guy who I've shown in a previous presentation. I think his name is Eir Gavir. He was a Nobel laureate, and he had a little presentation. And he says, "Oh, see this? This is the greenhouse gases for the last 200 years. So he says, just for easy math, he's like, it was at like 100. Well, then we had the industrialization, and you would think that the next 100 years would bring, a lot more than the average that it was. So basically, he shows you scientifically that greenhouse gases are not bad for you. And alternatively, I could also pull up a video from a guy who founded Greenpeace to tell you that no, not only are greenhouse gases not bad for you, they're actually really good for the environment and the planet. So the reason I brought up this old story from from this year, February 10th, is because President Trump today at 3:54 p.m. posted done, and he put that article in there. So EPA's endangerment finding, he says, is done. And of course, we knew what that did. That just, made everything more expensive and carbon footprint this and BS that. So, Mac, me and you were kind of discussing it. So if you want to go first, and then we'll take Miss Lisa's comment on that.
Just so great to see this being reversed. Yeah, I mean, this is one of the biggest scams of our lifetime. Global warming, God. I mean, I've hated it for so long. I'm glad it's going bye-bye, and we can finally have common sense science behind this. So, big news. I don't know, when's it supposed to take effect? April?
Well, he just says done here, so I'd have to see
so
if
it's coming soon
today. Yeah.
Must be coming soon.
Done, essentially. Miss Lisa, any comments on this one here?
Yeah, like, why isn't the chemtrails and the spraying of the air being tackled?
Yes.
Like because that to me is like an attack on humanity, and the whole climate hoax thing, that's a worldwide scam. The interestingly enough, what's going on right now with Iran has kind of put the spotlight on it, because you've got Germany, who decided to get rid of their nuclear plants were kind of federalized. So they were set up by the government. And Germany at one stage were producing a lot of their energy, and then suddenly shut down these nuclear plants, something to do with climate change. But yet nuclear is probably cleaner energy than a lot of other energies, And now, because they're needing oil and stuff like that, or fuel, now they've actually admitted that it was a mistake to close down their nuclear plants. And then in the UK, our green czar there's a vote coming up to open up at least one of the oil fields, which he'd said no way, and made it really expensive to extract oil from the North Sea, which is ours. Now they're thinking about opening up at least one of those oil fields, out there in the North Sea. But they're all kind of, it's the climate change, it's like they've been, it was like a masochistic move, which the issues with the fuel industry in the world hitting the global economy has now shone a light on their stupidity, because actually, like Hungary said, why would you pay 3 times as much for fuel when you can get it for, like a third of that? And that's exactly what the EU and the UK are doing, because they just don't want to kind of roll back on this climate change thing, which is earning a lot of people a lot of money, And then, we want to get rid of CO2. It's like, no, you don't, because plants can't exist without CO2.
Yeah, I mean, the Earth is just a self-correcting ecosystem. I mean, it's what it does. So
guess what? I found it for you guys. I found it.
It looks like the geoengineering stuff is being handled somewhat at the state levels here in the United States, but it still hasn't been addressed federally, and it needs to be addressed.
Right, and another thing, when you see the sky over Israel, does it have any chemtrails? I've never seen them. I always see a lovely blue sky and nice clouds over Israel, not the kind of checkered kind that we get. And there is a company I can't remember the name of it, but they've been given a contract to spray the air in America 11 feet off the ground, and they are looking for global contracts, and it's an Israeli company, and it's very, very recent. Very, very recent. Just throwing that in there, guys.
Oh, hugely. Oh, well, guess what, guys? I found this. So let me play this for you guys. And remember, this is Patrick Moore, founding member of Greenpeace. You know, I'm going to age myself here a little bit. You guys remember, oh, don't use hairspray. Don't break styrofoam. You guys remember, like, don't break styrofoam? Really?
Yeah,
you guys remember that?
While the factories are putting out all the pollution. Yeah.
Don't break styrofoam. I wonder if that does anything, any, scientific or, any chemical reaction when you snap a piece of styrofoam. But anyway, how stupid were we? All right. Patrick Moore, founding member of Greenpeace, right? He's going to sit here and tell you about greenhouse gases and how horrible they are for the world. I'm guessing.
The idea that carbon dioxide is a pollutant and somehow dangerous, when in fact it is the most important nutrient for all life on Earth, and without it this would be a dead planet. So I say not only is carbon dioxide good, it is essential, and it's a good thing that we are putting some more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere because it was running low before we came along.
CO2, we know its benefits for plants, but it is a known greenhouse gas, and we're pumping too much of it in, leading to global warming.
Well, actually, it may be a known greenhouse gas, but it's not known how strong it is in terms of changing the Earth's temperature. And so far in this century, there has been zero warming from a statistically significant basis, and the UK Met Office says so, yet 1/3 of all human CO2 emissions have been put into the atmosphere in the last 18 years. So it doesn't look like a lockstep causal relationship between increasing CO2 and warming of the Earth. The idea that carbon dioxide...
It sure does not. And Lisa, I sent you a message in the chat there. I said, what was that building behind him? That thing's gorgeous. I think he's in the UK.
Parliament.
When was that supposedly built?
Tartarian building.
Yeah. It looks like the UK Parliament.
Yeah.
It could be like the other side, like it's on the Thames, the one that Guy Fawkes tried to blow up. It is a beautiful building. I've been inside, by the way, and yeah, that was interesting. I've been for tea in Parliament, and
when was that supposed to be built?
We never built it,
It says, just for the Google AI overview, the current UK Parliament building, known as the Palace of Westminster, was constructed between 1840 and 1870, only 30 years, following a major fire, of course, in 1834 that destroyed most of the previous medieval palaces. And so any of you guys out there who happen to, like myself, watch a channel called My Lunch Break, if you notice what I just read sounds eerily familiar, in that every one they talk about of these historical buildings, all of them have a huge fire, and then they have to rebuild them. Every one of them. And it's like, wait, is that wood, Lisa? It doesn't look like wood to me. How the hell does big stone buildings burn down? That's what I want to know.
No, that's it. And how do they disintegrate as well? Like the big Chicago fire, this fire, that fire, the London fire. I mean, and then also what I notice is
they all seem to happen at the same time around the world.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, just about the same time. And when they talk about rebuilding, it's like, I'm telling you, they never rebuilt them. Mac, you mentioned the Vanderbilt house, and it's like, you know what? It's like, can you find any pictures of them actually building that house? And the answer is no. They got a little bit of scaffolding outside. That's about it. But it doesn't look like they built it, But when we know that people take credit for these things, and anyway, even my hometown, I'm telling you, it's like they've taken floors off buildings and stuff like that, And they've knocked down a lot of buildings. We've still got like what I would call Tartarian buildings, quite a few of them actually. We've got a most amazing town hall that you would not believe, with like massive stone steps and massive stone lions. You will find it in the fish sketch of Monty Python, not Lob.
Really? Yeah, right here. House of Parliament, big and in Big Ben too. Kids, Big Ben, Parliament. I can't get left. I can't get left. But yeah, it's gorgeous. And 1840, and they, wait, I got a joke for you. Ready? Hold on. I gotta pull it up here. Just give me a second. It'll be worth it.
Where do you see the budget where they want to refurbish it?
Oh my God. Right here. This should be it. All right. So ready? 1840, guys. What is this? 1840. Hold on. Let me go back. And then, well, you know what? It might actually be around the same type of time. So let me just pull this up here. Here we go. Here we go, guys. So 1840 is what you're looking at on the screen right now. 1840 to 1870. So I guess, if he was president in 1865, he would have been born in the early 1800s. But there's Abraham Lincoln's childhood home. We're building houses like this, 30 acres in, Knob Creek or whatever in the 1800s. But then they also build this in the 1800s. Something just doesn't add up to me, guys. It just doesn't add up.
Yeah, and then I looked at something literally like yesterday, and it was looking at photographs, paintings, and things like that. So they were showing, like, they'd show a building like the Parliament, and then they'd show you that, you see that horse and carriage right there, that was inserted. From a very long time ago, they learned to manipulate photographs. And then with the statues and things like that, they said that they had some form of laser, or maybe using the sun to do these sculptures and things like that. How they used to do them in ancient times. But anyway, yeah, it's what do we say about them? Erasing 1,000 years, and getting rid of Tartaria. That one you can all look up. It was there and then it wasn't, from a certain time period, where they just erase it from the history books, everything. And I think in Tartaria you might find that there was something about eating children as well. Even like that.
We might. Now, Mac and Lisa, if you guys will allow me about 1 minute to put some or keep a house over my shoulders, I'm going to read a little ad quick. We got plenty of time to do another 45 minutes if you guys would like to, but I'm just going to read one of these Rumble Wallet deals quick, and then I do, of course, have plenty of other stuff to get to, and want to make sure that you guys have things to present if you want to get some stuff out as well. So just give me 1 second here, guys. Guys, here's a little inside scoop that many creators are talking about behind the scenes. It's actually one of the reasons I'm using Rumble. They made a way to super chat creators so we get paid immediately and without any fees. YouTube and Twitch take up to 50% of the fees when you tip creator, and this method takes none. That's right, the platform takes 0 fees. I keep 100% of what you send me. You can super chat with Bitcoin, Tether USD, or even Tether Gold stablecoins. The tip will show up directly in the Rumble chat, which I will do my best to read. All you need to do is download the Rumble wallet on the App Store and send the tips to your favorite creators. You can head over to wallet.rumble.com, or you can download the app from the App Store directly. Seriously, what an amazing way to get rid of the middleman and help the creator economy. And shout out to Rumble for making this disruptive technology available. Boom. And thank you, guys. And that was that is for me, guys, just so you guys know. Mac and Lisa are doing this all on their benefit of their own donated time, so we do appreciate that. But yeah, guys, I got a couple other crazy ones too. No, if he left, he's done. I'm just kidding. If he left, he's gone. No, there is no coming back in. No. We play. Oh yeah, sometimes that thing does a little delayed. We went over this one. Which one did you want to go over? The Oh yeah. Yes, let me pull that one up. Yeah, because Yeah. Yeah, so I'm just bringing. Yeah, I'm not going to play this. You guys have seen this plenty of times. Oh crap! I had Mac muted. I'm sorry, Mac. I had you muted and Lisa too until I came back from that Rumble wallet at. But sorry. You're good now. But yeah, I brought this up just to show you guys quick that he did post it again. And are we talking about like a crash coming or something like that, or are we talking about some of this? I'll let this play and make it bigger and maybe put the volume down so we can kind of talk about it a little bit. But he wrote 126 years ago, Mac, right? And we were kind of doing a little digging on, what was going on 100 years ago.
Most of us were who ever paid attention to it. So it was year 1900, and it was taken during the World's Fair in Paris.
Ooh.
And, I think 1907, there was a financial crash, but nothing prior to that. So I went on a dig and just kind of was looking for stuff. I know you did too. So he's showing how the world used to be, I think, before all these wars, and conflicts, and how pristine it was.
Maybe a ramp up of technology coming soon. That I'm kind of reading it like that, like a ramp
the
up.
Ancient technology stuff. I mean, it's definitely Tesla. Trump always talks about his uncle, and he was the one that got all Tesla's hidden documents. So that leads into a whole nother string of theories and stuff. But
saying that, Mike, you're looking at all of these ladies. It's obviously not raining and they have their umbrellas. So those umbrellas basically were made out of copper, and they were taking energy from the ether and they were healing them. So that's why they used to have umbrellas back in the day. They then decided to make them out of aluminium so that they don't have the same effect. And then what I was thinking, when you mentioned about there being a crash in like early 1900s, it's like every single crash that we've had in the economy, financial world, has been manufactured. Every single one.
Oh, absolutely.
So I think that's good to know.
I'm literally Googling this right now.
Just happen on their own.
Literally Googling this as we go here. I'm Googling did old kids' sailboats work like fishing rods? And I'm wondering, because they all have rods in their hands, and I can see that the sailboats are moving from left to right through the screen. So I'm wondering, I don't see a rod that they can spool it up with, but maybe wrap it around here or something as you pull it closer. So how are these things moving from one side to the next is what I'm wondering.
The
just the wind?
You can see that fountain?
Yeah.
And it would create some energy the way the water's moving, and they use the rods to hook back in the boats, I thought.
Maybe they kind of just let them fly, let it go with the wind wherever the wind takes it, and they just get it on the other side.
Hook it back in.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think that definitely wireless, electricity free, that kind of stuff was a possibility.
Oh,
back in the day.
What did I look up to earlier, dude? Dallas human trafficking claim. No. Where did I look that one up? Because they was talking about how, they were showing things off in the World's Fair about the technology that they had, which were escalators, things like that. And then what was one of them? Oh, electric cars? That's new. Wait, that's not new. like seriously?
Yeah, and neither's Tesla's technology.
Let me see. This is crazy. Do you got some of this stuff up here? Oh, you put geoengineering. I think I had a thing up there. It may have just been a quote, though. But yeah, it's basically dates of the exposition universelle, World's Fair in November 12th, 1900, April 14th to November 12th, 1900. Celebrated the achievements of the 19th century and look forward to the 20th, showcasing technological, cultural, and artistic advances. Paris Metro officially opened in time for the exposition, greatly modernizing the city. Early Olympic Games were held as part of the exposition. New inventions like escalators, moving walkways, and electric cars were displayed. The Art Nouveau movement was prominently featured in architecture, furniture, and design. That's pretty cool. and Max got a couple of them on here as well. And what do you think, guys? The Paris World Fair versus like the World Fair in the United States. What was it? 1894, 1898?
Look up Crystal Palace.
Oh, God.
In the UK, because that's another place which actually still exists now. But I'm pretty sure they had some kind of fair there. The Crystal Palace, it's called Crystal Palace.
Yeah, there was world fairs all over the world. I don't know when they stopped, but I know Chicago had one, and maybe San Francisco, but they're all immaculate. And they all had the same type of architecture too, which is very interesting.
Just a coincidence. Let me see, Lisa. I got this, and I remember this because I remember somebody playing one of these in a video somewhere and saying that it was basically built before they had glass cutters. Now, I don't know if that's correct or not, but it says Crystal Palace was a massive, iconic glass and iron exhibition hall originally built in London's Hyde Park for the 1851 Great Exhibition. It was later rebuilt in South London, giving the area its name, but again, destroyed by fire in 1936. Today, the site features the public Crystal Palace Park, known for its Victorian dinosaur sculptures, scenic view, and remnant terrace ruins. See if we can get some pictures of this place. But yeah, it was all glass, right? Like all crystal? That's great. All right, we get a good picture of this, a terrarium. And I saw this video.
There?
I think she was.
Yes.
Was it crystal? Do you know if it's crystal?
I think it
well,
was.
It's glass, so you know,
glass.
It's glass. A
That's
lot of glass.
Crazy.
And iron, yeah.
And you know, guys, I watched this video in the last week, and it was talking about, and maybe, I don't know, maybe one of you guys dropped it. I have no idea. But again, to Lisa's point about information coming out of my ears at this point, they were showing hospitals. They were saying, oh, you guys, hospitals were completely different than what they were today. And most hospitals had like a bell system, and they would play vibrations for you, and that's how you would kind of get healed back in the day. I don't know if you guys have seen any videos along those lines.
I have, and also, you know, old Victorian houses, you know, they had, I think they called it like a quiet room or a silent room. And, you know, it wouldn't have any windows, it might have arches, and it was built to kind of encompass the frequency of the Earth's frequency of the location, and they used to use it to heal. And then what we get today, we get told that they were utility rooms, and now they're used for utility. But that was originally, you know, at the time that they were using bells to heal as well, you know. But when it goes to hospitals, you know, they had wireless electricity. They used to use materials such as linen, because linen would help heal the body because of the frequency and stuff like that. And now they have, you know, man-made materials and stuff like that, you know. There's lots of things that they actually did that would help heal people. They're nothing to do with modern medicine.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So many things they hide and obscure and make weird to us. But yeah, all these old hospitals used to have friggin' bells.
Yeah, so anybody interested, look up, you know, Tartaria. There's lots of videos, you know, discern for what you can, but it's captivating the structures at the very minimum and trying to understand what the heck happened, because a lot of these buildings do not seem to be built at the time frame, even the pyramids. So
no,
it's very interesting.
And it's funny you bring that up too, because there's one channel I like to watch. It's called Tartaria Vault, and they have pictures of giants that were, and you're not talking like, you know, 50-foot giants. Actually, I can play you a little tiny clip of this, but the interesting part about this is you're going to look at it.
CGI or AI
No.
rendered?
So here's the coolest part of it, right? So when you look at these and you're going to look at it and go, oh no, these are definitely fake, right? But the images that this guy got were all on like plates and stuff like that. So we're talking way pre-CGI. And so some of the people in it look like, you know, they're way taller. Like, you know, one of the guys looks like maybe 6'5", as opposed to everybody else being like 5'11". But then one dude looks like he's like 3 or 4 times the size. I'm not going to even play the video. I'll just play you I'll show you the cover of it here. This guy right here looks completely fake, right? He's so much bigger than this guy next to him. But then you have other guys that just look like they're a lot taller than the other people next to them. But again, to Mac's point, use discernment. Obviously, that's not a real picture. I wouldn't think, but I love the woo just as much as you guys do. But Mac, Lisa, before we get too late and we don't get to cover, I think one of the more important, maybe one of the more important things here. I got a shorter clip of that one, Mac.
Who was playing the bunny?
Who was playing the bunny? Oh,
yeah, the Easter bunny.
Oh no, I didn't see.
It's at the bottom of the chat.
Oh, okay. Let me see. Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, I know what you're talking about now. Give the guy a break, why don't you, for crying out loud, This guy is up to doing everything, guys. He's probably doing more than smoking a cigarette over there, right? Like, what the heck? But no, this probably get a copyright, but we're going to use it for fair use. I don't care that it's TMZ. We're going to transform this. That way, if I don't have to cut it out later. And any of you guys who are listening to this show on YouTube and you happen to say, "Oh, that's weird. They were talking about one thing and then they kind of went off to a completely different topic or whatever." Well, that's because we had to cut it out. So if you want the full versions, go over to pill.net or the foxhole.app. Or, of course, rumble.com. But here we go, guys.
What I want to make sure I'm understanding is a member of our government has told you and others, I guess, that there is a form of alien life and machinery which maybe brought this living creature here that interacted in some form with people?
Yeah, they have, and they've. It's pretty wild. I know, but I'm just telling you, I'm not going to lie to you. I'd take a lie to tell you. You want to put me on a polygraph, I'll take it. But this is what the guy told me. I mean, I've had a very high-ranking naval official describe. I've talked about this before. Underwater craft, something big as a football field, moving at over 200 miles an hour. And there's no fish in the ocean that would do that. We don't even have a sub that'll probably do 40 miles an hour under the. And the last thing he said before he left my office was, it was kind of weird because he didn't go out he went out the side door, which nobody ever uses. And he looked at me, he pulled me up close, and he said, "Tim, they're real." And that's the last thing he said to me. That'll be the title of my book, I guess.
Dude, what the heck? He says, ready for aliens because they're real, and he was informed about their existence by a high-ranking. He says they're among us, and they came here in an underwater craft as big as a football field, which moves over 200 miles per hour, quoting the guy saying, "Tim, they're real." And again, what do you guys think? Mac and Lisa, of course, and I want to know what the people in the chat think. Do you guys believe that there are aliens coming from other areas? Do you believe they're demons? Do you believe it's all BS, it's fake, and they're going to try to pull a wool over our eyes? And I'll go to Lisa first, and I'll just add that I've been saying for, as long as I can remember, that the deep state and, the bad guys, their end goal or their piece de resistance was going to be a second coming of Jesus that was faked or a fake alien invasion. So, Lisa, let me get your comments, and then Mac right after that. I'm going to run up to the little boys' room. I'm sure I'll be back by the time Lisa's done. But go ahead, Lisa.
This is Mac's area, really, so I'm going to let Mac do the talking. It's your favourite subject. Would it be egotistical of us to think that we're the only forms of life? Probably. And then at the same time, it's like, who are we? Who are we? And, breeding programs, things like that, wouldn't put that past them. And I think Matt Gaetz and, I can't remember, Anna Paulina Luna, is that her name? Matt Gaetz said that he was, was briefed on aliens. We call them aliens. Are they alien? Are we alien? I don't know. But I'm not going to say much. I'm just going to, Mike, it's your favourite subject. Take it away.
Yeah, I mean, a long time ago dismiss the fact that we're alone, that we're the only species, because just statistically speaking, they're saying that our universe is that big that we're alone is, like you said, egotistical of us. So I've actually been following the technology aspect of it for a long time, even though the alien stuff's really intriguing and there's some great stories. The facts were easier to follow when you did the technological side, and it actually intertwined into our history, which was very interesting, given the fact that there's symbolic mentions in the Bible and in between, in paintings and so forth. So there's been something ancient around, and I think we're being given part of a story. Are there beings that have been here for a long time that we don't know about? That's quite possible. Are there creatures from another planet? That's possible. I'm just curious to see what they go into. I mean, there's already been disclosure, I think, from the KGB saying how many alien species they knew about in like the 1980s. And it was like over 70. So, I'm curious. I'm curious to know what the heck really is going on. A lot of our history has been lied to us, so I think that's held us back as a civilization to progress in a more positive fashion. And I'll leave that here. Hopefully, Space Shot's around.
Yes, sir.
But
I'm back.
Yeah, I think the whole thing is more intricate than just the aliens exist, and I'll leave it there. I'm just curious which angle they're going to take. I think the one person that I've ran into who's a whistleblower has been in touch with, they would classify as an alien, as Chris Bledsoe. And he's the gentleman that it was told by an entity called the Lady. He calls her the Lady.
Oh yeah.
And that the star Regulus is going to rise red over the Sphinx's head this year at some point. It was supposed to be Easter, but I think it got pushed back to October based off of the astrological readings that he was given. But the government, NASA, the CIA, they've all hired him. They've all investigated him. There's a guy from NASA who was trying to debunk him, and he couldn't. And when he finally realized that he was like a chosen person to communicate, he's like, "Why you?" And he was just so confused. He's like, "This guy just doesn't fit the mold for whatever reason. I don't see it." So it's a very interesting story. He's done several interviews. You can find them on YouTube. I find them genuine, but I also find that there's more to the story than just his perspective. So I'll leave it there.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'm sure he just got a little piece of it. But here we're setting up for Artemis, guys, and Victor Glover's got this. He's got this guy with the thick ass beard that's not even manicured. You can still see whatever. And then what's that on his hand? Let me see. Hold on. Looks like. Oh, that
Can
looks
I just
like.
ask something?
Oh,
Did this happen on April Fool's Day as well?
It sure did. It sure did.
I'm just trying to find some things for you. I mean, gee, we've got the aliens do exist, because apparently with Artemis we've got astronauts with 3 legs. Yeah.
Oh no! Is there even worse than I? Is there even worse than I saw?
I can't. I just can't understand why they're doing. Just come clean. It's just ridiculous. Rockets are so old technology. Anyway, their age is old, and they keep feeding it to us, like cars, like gas cars, like boats. Our boats have been one shape. There hasn't been much progression, and they've held that back from us. Because if you have like you find like some source of engine or way of producing energy that exceeds 20%, the government automatically seizes that patent, apparently. And that's written into law. I forget what it's called, but it's extremely interesting. I did not realize that till I read it.
That's crazy.
I would, that's one reason why I would be, I'm would be and will be, and until I can verify, like completely circumspect about whatever we're told, we're told, about aliens, because. From what I think, it's like, some of this technology has been around forever. Remember, if you're alien, then time doesn't work in the same way that we experience time. right? So,
or just a more advanced species. There could have been a breakaway civilization of humans we don't know about. Atlantis. I don't know. Like you said, once you hit a certain type of technology, time may not exist like we think it exists.
yeah, that one's funny as hell. That is funny as hell.
So this one I got a problem with.
Unbelievable.
And this guy got a good view of it, right? And some people had, some blurred versions of it. This guy got it clearer than you're going to see anybody. But guess what, guys? There's an answer for it. So here we go. I'm just going to give you the grok version. Okay. Those are the SLS launch tower retractable umbilical arms labeled 1 through 4, which swing away on cables during ignition to avoid the exhaust plume. They provide fuel and power up and connections pre-launch. The crew stayed inside the Orion capsule atop the rocket. There's no cable cars or astronauts. It's standard launch hardware visible in every SLS Artemis rollout. Community notes rollout when enough contributors weigh in. This one's fresh from the April 1st launch. Now, they said it's umbilical arms, right? Retractable umbilical arms that provide fuel and power. Okay, whatever. So as we kind of go here, I'm looking at these things to be more of what they're describing here. Even though it did label them 1 through 4, these look like retractable umbilical arms that would provide fuel and stuff, and they break off to the side. Now watch. Oh, dink. Disconnect, everything else pops over here, out of the way, and then why do we have 4? Again, why the hell we got 4 baskets? And, I would accept that, except somebody else told me as well, this person had posted out, Welsh Corgus says, they asked ChatGPT, and they said it were cameras in the basket, so I didn't ask ChatGPT myself, I did ask Grok, but I do have an issue with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
whatever.
strange.
Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, there had to be a reason, but it's not normal.
And I don't know. Again, I can't give you the.
If there were cameras, why don't we get that view from those cameras?
I would have loved live footage of 360 degree of, Artemis 2 going to the moon. Why couldn't we get that?
Yeah, and the other thing is, why?
It's disappointing.
Whenever we're in the 21st century. So as far as cameras and footage and all of that, there's all kinds of things that we can do. Like you said, Mike, why don't we get 300? And it's and then we always go back to photography that's from the 70s. Have you not noticed when we see the pictures? It's as if it's been done in the 70s, 80s or something. There's been no innovation.
Like this
one? That rocket moving, that's all right, though. That's kind of controlling. I didn't see anything wrong with that because they have flexible material that can handle that.
Now should it be like a balloon though? This thing?
It's a material that can be flexible.
And will it catch fire? To me, it looks like something that would catch fire. I don't know.
No. That wouldn't catch fire. No, it's probably patented by NASA or something. I don't know what kind of material it is, but.
And all their math.
That's to show flexibility in the thrusters so that they can point and steer.
I got one for you though. Can you guys explain?
I just put something in the channel. The astronaut has 3 legs. And all I'm saying is, you know what? You only need a couple of things where it's just no, you can't explain that. So why am I accepting the rest of it? I don't accept the rest of it. You know what I mean? Fraud vitiates everything. See what I mean?
100%. Now, with that in mind, guys, okay, I'm gonna get Lisa's 3-legged astronaut in a second, but this right here, as you guys can see, this is the live counter for the YouTube channel. This is from me. I recorded it myself. You guys can go back and record it yourself. This is as soon as they took off. This is the problem I have with it, is that apparently, okay, you can see this thing in the sky quite brightly without any clouds around it or under it or anything. And then it immediately goes to this next scene. I'd love to hear you guys' comments on this one. All right. Now, what are these things under there? They appear to me to be trace of clouds, and this thing is way above them. Way above them. How do we see that? And then that. That, for me, makes zero sense. And my buddy, who watched a little bit more of it than I did, he said, dude, did you hear that? And I'm like, no. He goes, they actually said, before the conspiracy theorists get out of hand, there's no cameras up here recording anything or something along those lines. But he mentioned conspiracy theorists. And what was that?
What did that camera say on the elevation, that infrared? Go back, because you can see the curvature of the Earth right there. What does it say? Have an elevation on it at all? No, just
just
the
says
camera.
focus, iris, CI.
I don't know what the elevation is like. So to the point where you can see curvature, and that's really high up. So I don't.
Weird.
Yeah.
Well, just put another video, 2 videos, you know?
Which one, this one?
And it explains, there's the three legs, and then there's one that's going to explain the clouds, which is just ridiculous.
Oh, crap.
So for me, I just can't accept it, you know?
No. And did I drop it in the chat earlier, guys? Do you remember a guy working with like a ratchet on the thing? Let me see if I can find this again, because they showed a guy on, you know, some space station or whatever with a ratchet, and let's just say like the corner of here is where the ratchet needs to be. It was like way off, like not even close. Like they were completely mailing it in. Let's see the legs. Where's the legs? 1, 2. Oh shit! What the freak? Oh my god! All right, guys. So here's a leg that's bent. Unless they, you know, it's a fake one. He's got to go pee or something. And then there's 2 legs right here. So here we go again. Oh my god. 1, 2, and then there's the other bent one, ladies and gentlemen. So yes.
And the film Hail Mary has just been released with I can't remember his name now. But anyway, some famous actor, and it's about a school teacher that goes into space.
Is it Chris Pratt?
No. What's his name? He started off at Disney, and he was in
Gosling.
Barbie. Gosling, that's it.
Gosling.
Ryan Gosling, I think that's his name, is that?
Want me to play this one too, Lisa? He's going to describe.
Yeah, you might have to read it. Yes?
All right, let's see what we got. See if we got English or not. What do we got?
Artemis 2 has captured some incredible views of Earth.
Ils ont utilisé les mêmes nuages sur les 2 images. C'est censé...
Lisa threw me a curveball. We got English and Francais in here. He said, so they used the same clouds. Let's see what he says. They used the same clouds on both images. It's supposed to be Africa, day and night, with exactly the same angle. So about 12 hours later, and the clouds didn't move. Hold on, let's go back. Yeah, that's exactly... let me move this so the folks can see a little bit better. Where's my chrome trim? There we go. Bink. So yes, this right here, if I was to be so bold as to... It looks like a little Florida action right there. That is the same as this, a little Florida action right there. And then all of these clouds are exactly the same too. The little hole right there, little hole right there, all these the same. That is bananas. I mean, they're getting sloppy. Are they getting sloppy, or are they just saying, I don't care at this
Honestly,
point?
I've seen so many videos, and I'm just like, no, can't accept it. And on April Fool's Day, you know, like, come on, guys.
That's bad. That is really bad.
Did Trump ever mention that it was, a great achievement, 2006? We didn't get that, did we?
I don't think so.
No, well, there you go. That says, saying nothing. It says is saying something, I think,
Yeah. Ooh, crap, I found it. Luckily, I found it. And I don't even know
NASA's
when
an
this
intelligence agency now. So Trump changed that.
Oh, no, it always was. Always was.
Well, it always was, but officially he made it an intelligence agency on paper.
Always
they do all. They do all the air traffic control for, I believe, the southern hemisphere. Is it the whole hemisphere?
They collect a lot of intelligence and always have done.
All right, guys, try not to laugh too hard, okay? When this comes up, because it is beyond laughable. Beyond laughable. Let me get it up for the folks here, and here we go. Turn the sound off. I'll let this one play a few times just so people can see the artwork of how crappy this guy is with the ratchet. Like, what are you doing, dude? They got some new tools that we're not aware of, because that looks just like, I'm sure it's like a $20 million ratchet, but it doesn't appear to me he's doing anything with that. Putting it on sideways? Like,
Yeah.
like, what is that? Like, what are you doing there, buddy? Like, if I'm looking objectively, to me it looks like I just had to tear apart my son's e-bike last summer and put it back together. That one looked like it has a stud on top, but
And it
these
just
ones
looks
before, like an
just
Allen
looks
wrench.
like CGI to me. You know,
Yeah.
honestly, it just looks like really bad CGI.
If I was to guess, I would say that looked like it should be like an Allen wrench key, right? Like you should have a stop sign shaped type of key going into that one. But then when you go to the next one, it looks like there's something sticking out of it, like a rod, a little bit right there. And I've never seen a ratchet or anything look like that. But hey, maybe NASA has tools that we that we've never seen before. But he's aware people are watching him, right?
Look like he did much right there. That's all. Yeah, it might be a multifunctional ratchet, but
The thing
there
is,
wasn't much done.
if you're out in space and things float away, don't you think that they'd be attached in some way if you had a tool so that you don't lose it?
You would think.
If you know what I mean, you know, you don't want it
Right.
floating away and create more space debris.
That'd be too easy, right?
Look at DeWalt, right? Why are they not using, like, why would you use a ratchet on the friggin' thing? Like, it makes no sense. Oh my. It did move, though, by itself, if you notice.
Well, you
He
can't
lets go.
carry batteries all the time unless they get rechargeable.
And kind of to your point, Lisa, like that could be the thing that kind of ousts it as a CGI. Like, how is he not touching it? And then all of a sudden it goes it just moves by itself right here. All right, take my hand off and yeah.
I can't wait for all the documents to come out that Trump asked to be released.
Clearly not
Just
worried about
get
it
it over
falling.
with.
I know
Get it over with.
whether they do actually come out. You know.
Is this what you were
Because
talking about, Lisa?
you know, the Pentagon lost a lot of information after I think he signed an executive order, or at least gave an order for Pete Hegseth to go through the information, and then the very next day they told us that a whole kind of server's worth of information had been wiped. So I don't know. I'm waiting to see. They got to show me, you know.
Guys, just really quickly, I've paused it at a point in which there is no hands touching this thing. Period.
Yeah,
like
I put it
like I put it down to 0.25 speed. Here we go. And nothing touching it. How is that staying? Oh, it's fastened to its magnet. Okay. Not concerned about it falling, right? And just, killing somebody on Earth, perhaps.
And the other guy just doesn't move, right?
Oh, dude, I didn't even know there was a guy there. Hold on. Let me bring the screen back up for everybody.
He just doesn't move like it's a blow-up doll or something.
What the frig?
What is he doing? Exercises, a couple of push-ups.
Oh no, he's pushing it back so it doesn't fall on him. He's like the brace. He's just all right. Now hold it right there. Hold it right there. Okay, Jim. Dude, I did not even see a person there, Lisa. Oh wait, he just moved the thumb. But what is he doing for a minute here? Here we go. Ready? 0 start. 15 seconds. I see a little elbow move, a little bit. But other than that, he moves his thumb at like 14, 15 seconds. I forgot I put it down to 20.25 speed. But yeah,
you really just put the video into an AI generator and ask if it's fake or not. That'll tell you.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at before to see. Far better at soldering circuits than tightening nuts. Why would the ratchet swing down when it slipped? There's no gravity. As a guy, I would have dropped this thing twice. Oh, here we go.
Oh, right.
And Brock, okay.
And if you look up Reed Weissman.
Reed?
And yeah, I think he's one of the astronauts, but on his Twitter feed it says that he's an aquanaut. And it says Artemis 2. Like, duh. Aquanaut, you know how they take pictures?
Oh, yeah.
Underwater? Yeah.
Astronaut. Yeah, Reed Weiserman.
Yeah. If you look up his Twitter, I think it's his Twitter feed.
Let me see if I mean, yeah, it's gonna be a bunch of. I had one of my buddies. I'm not going to name him online.
Yeah, there's something more to meets the eye because aquanaut is a person who remains underwater breathing at ambient pressure for long enough for the concentration of inert gases in their body tissues to reach equilibrium, a state known as saturation. So that would mean that they could be testing that. I don't know, but that's stuff for long space travel. Interesting.
Yeah,
I think there's a story of Reed Weissman and oh, sorry, mate. Go on.
No, like in the movies where they portray like you in a tank with liquid and you breathe in the liquid and you stay in a catatonic state for a long time, and that's the kind of technology I think they're talking about. That's interesting.
Remember with the sorry, 1 second. Video was playing. With the movies, just remember that that's part of our programming. They kind of program us by showing us the movies. They're not all.
No,
real.
but they've been working on that stuff for a long time.
Yeah, but I think you've got to be a bit careful with Hollywood.
No, but it's just portrayed. A lot of the truth is portrayed in movies. It's to what extent. And I was just expressing that it's been portrayed in the past.
This is so funny. Dreamt I was in lunar orbit last night. Been in that post-vivid dream that wasn't real funk all morning. He reposted it. And some other dude says, you ever dream you were in lunar orbit when you were in Earth orbit? That would be a bummer to wake up from. He's like, that never had that dream. But yeah, he reposted that. All I feel is gratitude for this experience. Should have said experiment. Yeah, there are words for this one, dude. I think it's called fake and gay, Ghey. Like, seriously? Oh my goodness. Oh, smart. Let me see what he say. Oh, I muted the site. Here we go.
And we're going to be like, we might find nothing, but it's definitely worth looking. And now I'm totally bought in. And we're going to be like, I hope we don't make something up.
Did you see him during the rest of that press conference where he goes, guys, we're going to the moon? Like, yeah, isn't that what you trained for? Like, you're all psyched up, like, ooh, we're going to the moon. It's like, that just seems so off to me.
It sounds so like, a line out of a Hollywood movie. Like, we're going to Oz, Wizard of Oz. Like, oh, come on. I just find it pathetic.
Guys,
Sorry.
No, that's good. This is a quote from my buddy. He says, by the way, you turned me on to looking into flat Earth and the dome situation. So I'm like, dude, I've never, ever said I believe the Earth is flat because I don't have any proof to show you that. But all I can show you is the many, into infinity, the fakes that NASA shows you. But does that prove that the Earth is flat? No, it does not. It just proves that they're lying to us and taking $70 million a day for their budget to do God knows what with. Because if they ain't going to the moon and they ain't doing the stuff that they're telling us they're doing, what are they doing with that $70 million a day?
What if you found out we are already at the moon and we already had the technology to go there and back? Remember the hacker that hacked into NASA, found off-world soldiers list and off-world ships. Well, guess who probably had to be involved in making a UFO or reverse engineering it? The Navy, because of their submarines. So
I was on Rogan again last week. Timing interesting, right, guys? Narrative seeding like crazy.
So there's a lot of, I think a lot of it is ours. They reverse engineered this type of technology for a long time. I mean, I'd say that we're 70 years of plus behind the 8 ball with this stuff.
Yeah, so, I mean, who knows? I mean, remember we had the Battle of Los Angeles, shooting 1952, the White House. They said UFOs flew over the White House back then as well. So historically, we have some stuff in the past for sure, right?
Yeah, and they're minute down ancient vehicles. They don't know how old they are. They haven't quite disclosed everything, but they've said that there's, I think, in South Korea, an ark or an ancient vehicle that they've had to build a complex around, and so that they're scattered throughout the world. Some are underwater, some are on land. and it's a very real thing. So I'm very curious to find out what exactly they know.
Crazy. Yeah, it's what's the guy? Yeah, Bob Lazar. So he made his rounds again on Joe Rogan recently for the I don't know how many times, but he's doing the rounds again, and they're pushing this narrative again. And hey, we're going to the moon as well on April Fool's Day, nonetheless. So I thought it was interesting. Lisa, you gonna say something?
No, just that I'm just keeping one eye open. Because
just one thing you can
all of this, like happening at the same time.
The one thing you got to keep, when I say I follow the technology, I went back to like World War II, and it wasn't just about the Holocaust. And when you start digging into the stuff the Germans were researching the Nazis, it uncovers that they, how did von Braun, head of NASA, ex-Nazi scientist, rocket scientist, and probably general, end up heading our NASA program? He committed, because he knew stuff.
Because America wanted the information.
Yeah,
exactly. And all I'm saying is I'm just accepting of how governments work.
No, I know.
And how the cabal works. So
finish real quick?
If somebody's got interesting intel that they feel might give them, or that they feel that they need to redress the balance, as in we don't have it, but they've got it. So let's get them to come over here so that we've got it.
No, 100%.
We can get the upper hand.
100%. And he was a rocket scientist, but he also was investigating what I think Vril technology was it, or the Bell, Das Bell, which was a anti-gravity device. So in my personal opinion, the rocket program was a dual funded program and also addressed the hidden technology stuff. So the rockets are a front.
I was going to say maybe a front, yeah.
Like NASA's a front.
NASA, the whole
but the rocket launches themselves are a front, because they've already have the technology. I mean, it just, for me, it's blatantly obvious once I ran down that trail and just kept connecting the dots, that it would seem that, not everything's going to be disclosed to the public, especially something as advanced as that. Now, whether it's ancient technology, I wouldn't doubt it. It seems like our ancients were a lot more advanced than we were taught. So that's another trail that's fun to explore.
It is. All right, guys. I got one more or two more real quick ones, and then we're going to wrap it up as we're coming up on 3-hour tour here. And just really quickly.
You're doing right now.
Yeah, I'm going to hit that one really quickly. And just so as I highlighted it earlier, guys, Israel strikes Iranian petrochemical plant, claims 2 senior IRGC leaders killed. I mean, how many of these IRGC leaders are actually alive still? Because they keep telling us all the time that they're all dead. Monday claimed that it killed 2 leaders. Defense Minister Katz said the strikes in a video, confirmed the strikes in a video statement. Israel further claimed that the attack had killed 2 leaders of the IRGC. Strike on the facility comes as Donald Trump has largely held off targeting Iranian civil infrastructure, though he has repeatedly threatened to do so if Tehran did not reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Over the weekend, he says, "Open the effing strait," in a bellicose truth social post. He's set to address the nation, provide an update on the conflict at 1 p.m., which we got some clips from earlier. Repeatedly claimed the U.S. already won the war, and numerous reports of a ceasefire agreement have ultimately come to naught. Interesting. Monday morning, U.S. and Iran were in talks to implement a possible 45-day ceasefire to avert an escalation of war. The effect the Israeli strikes on such an agreement remain unclear. So if we're trying to talk and they're hitting them, then that's not looking too good. It's almost like they're messing with us.
That always happens. It's like a permanent piece of the jigsaw puzzle.
Like
as in, for me, it feels like a setup, because like you keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result. No, every single time they're talking about ceasefire, whatever it is, negotiations, somebody gets hit, and it's just like, I'm not sure that people are falling for it. But I just put an interesting article and video, because there's a lot more people getting involved in this. And if America does put boots on the ground in Iran, then there's, like the Chechnya, they're going to get involved. But here's another guy that's getting involved.
Who's this guy?
Yeah, just read what it says about him.
Real name Ayub Fallah Hassan Al-Rubai, born 1978 Iraq, former university lecturer, one-time Taekwondo champion, and father of 5. First took up arms with the Mahdi army against U.S. forces during the 2003 invasion, then became one of the most feared commanders against ISIS in Syria and Iraq as part of a popular mobilization force. He's now in Tehran coordinating with the IRGC on plans for a potential U.S. ground invasion. The man who fought the Americans in Iraq is back and ready to do it again. I'll send Tim Kennedy to kick his ass. Tim Kennedy will smack that guy around like a bitch.
Do you really think he would announce that he's over there doing that? I don't think so. And look at his hat. It's the Punisher.
Oh, shit. He does look like one of our special ops guys for sure.
And then remember, like ISIS and Al Qaeda, you know, weren't they used to, you know, provoke Iran as well, amongst other things? When you think about it, you know, remember, war makes money.
What's this? I thought it was Lisa's, but I think it might have been Max.
Yeah, this is the global gold reserves.
Wow, Uzbekistan's got 383 tons. Poland, wow. Netherlands, 612 tons. Turkey, 615 tons. Where are we going next? Japan. Now, Mac, is this in the face of kind of, what was it today? France wanted their gold back from us, was it? I think when we said we'll pay them and we'll wire them some money or something like that. I
think they cashed out because they picked a new location to store their gold.
1040 tons for Switzerland. Holy shit.
New York City, it's not just all gold storage. I think there's paper involved.
Wow, 2,333 tons for Russia. France, 2,437. Italy, 2,452 in tons. Woo. Germany, 3,350. Holy crap. Oh, God. Dude, I hope they're not figuring in like Fort Knox in here, because I don't know if that is in there.
I know. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, we never got an answer on that. I wish we did.
Yeah, and isn't it interesting that it was promoted and then it's like, you know, take you to the cliff edge and then, you know, stop right there. You know, nothing was, there was no visit from President Trump and Elon Musk, you know.
It was probably a veiled threat.
Suddenly, you know, there's all of these other distractions.
You probably use that as a veiled threat to get stuff done, I'm hoping. Maybe we'll find out in the end.
No kidding, right? Yeah, this Artemis stuff was just a nice little capper for, let's just say April 1st. But let me thank some folks over here, and then we'll get your guys' final thoughts and await next week and all of the info and disinfo information that will be coming and going. You know, I often just sit here in awe, and I'm like, all this information that's coming out, and it's like, what is next? Like, what the hell is coming next? So over here on the D Lives, we got Saint Cosmic Dildo, Crodeck, and Patriot Chick are the top 3 contributors over there. I wonder if that's why YouTube keeps giving me like the, hey, is your channel kid friendly? Let's see. Well, you know, kind of. The rewards should be coming at you guys over there at 23 and counting over there. So thank you guys over on the D Lives. Excuse me, over on the Foxhole. And what is going on with Foxhole? It showed me nothing. Okay, boom. It literally showed me Foxhole with nothing on the whole page, which was weird. But over here, Jukani starts us off with the shades. Thank you very much for that, Jukani. And then Moonbaby0437 gifted the cookie, says, what up, Famalam? What up, Famalam, ding dong? Bois Blanc with the can. Thank you for that, Bois Blanc. And then Sean Joe dropped the cookie. It says, Harriman is a huge name in New York in the railroad baron in politics. Interesting. Thank you for that, Sean Joe, and the info. And then No Thanks Joe with the cookie says, hey, buddy, Body Shot 76. Nice to hear you on this fine Monday evening. Looking forward to a good week of stuff coming. God bless and be safe. Yes, thank you for that, and I hope everything is safe this week. So, hearing that the 7th and the 8th might be a point of contention, so hopefully not. But that's followed up by 2 cookies in a row by Sean Joe. I appreciate that, brother. And then Ohio Kimmy came in with the cookie as well. Thank you, Kimmy. And Sean Joe, and again with another cookie, he drops a comment, says 2C TV on YouTube. Now, when I had Ghost on a few weeks ago, he was like, oh, there's this German or this Iranian channel, whatever. And I looked it up, and I just put it like in the browser, 2C TV. And apparently you can go there and like subscribe and get whatever. But yeah, much cheaper and free to go just on his YouTube channel. And that's where I got the information about the bridge. So apparently he's an Iranian guy that may have some contacts, but again, you got to take all information kind of like Lisa was saying earlier with like one closed eye. And then Sean Joe gifted out a 3-month bronze tier subscription to the fam out there, and it was picked up by Ohio Kimmy. So thank you for that, Sean Joe. And then he dropped another 3 months bronze tier who Valhalla picked up. So thank you for that again, brother. And then he's on a bronze tier gifting subscription bender where he dropped another one picked up by Darla L. So I appreciate that, Sean Joe, who says, I'm not done yet, and I'm going to drop another cookie. So thank you for that, brother. And then another cookie from him. And then Ohio Kimmy, another cookie. And I'm telling you, we need milk. So thank you, Sean Joe, Ohio Kimmy. And then Mr. Swickley, the maker of that awesome intro with the froggies. Thank you for that cookie. Followed by another cookie from Sean Joe. And thank God I'm on a diet, guys. But thank you again, Sean Joe. And then the last 2 are One Thunder with the can. No message on there, but thank you. And then Chatty Casey gifted the can. Says, yay, the old age with a smiley face. So I'm going to release those scratch-ins. And guys, you want to hear a really funny quick story that I haven't told anybody? So you guys know I've been on a diet or whatever, right? And every single week I've been down 3 pounds, except for this week. And guess why? Because Mike's an idiot sometimes. So I've been doing my little diet and having my little my meals every night, and I would treat myself with like one of these gelatos, right? Which is like, mixed fruit and low calories, low this, low that. And then I went, oh, instead of getting that one from the same company, I got it's something else where it's like triple the calories. So it was something that I thought was 300 calories that I was eating that was 1,200 calories. And that was what had put me there, because I was doing so good that I was like, I can treat myself and do this. And guess what? You got to read the calories, guys, because 350 times 3 is a lot more than 150 times 3, right? So, Miss Lisa, any final thoughts on the way out of here? We, of course, are thick into the fog of war. And, of course, you're going to have people out there that have genuine concerns, right? And then you're going to have people that are going to be poo-pooing the narrative and Trump's doing this and that. But then also you have to add in the deep state bad guys at this point, right? Where anytime anybody is going to attempt to say, right the ship, make things correct, you're going to have a massive pushback from the usual suspects. And I think that's what we're seeing a lot of, especially with the lawfare and things like that. But your final parting words to the folks as we wrap up episode 203 of Hold the Line. Miss Lisa.
All right, so I'm interested to see what happens at, is it 8 p.m. ET that President Trump said? Like the deadline?
Is that tomorrow or?
It was Tuesday.
Right? Yeah,
tomorrow. Tuesday already.
Tomorrow for us, and today for her.
So 8 p.m., I think, ET. So I'm interested to see what happens with that. I can understand why he possibly wants the Strait of Hormuz open, because, we're talking about the global economy, but we're also talking about the bond market, So if the bond market goes kaput, then the debt that you have, if you have it, will cost a lot more, But I think that there's definitely one eye on the global economy. Now, whether that's being purposely crashed or or not. I don't know. You know, but got to keep an eye on that. And just to say, yeah, there's a lot of effect on the American domestic market, regardless of the fact that you produce 16% of the world's oil. The Strait of Hormuz is 20%, and then add about another 11% or more for the Red Sea. But I can't remember the name of that other choke point, you know, that the Yemenis have access to, you know, where Saudi Arabia can use. But anyway, I just want to see what happens tomorrow, you know, and very interested to see whether there is a ground invasion. And just think it's very interesting that all of these generals left. Was that the same day as Artemis, and then the same day that this rescue all blew up as well? You know,
Yeah.
It was all around the same time. So there's obviously some disquiet about the rescue or the operations, or it looks to be that way. Yeah, looks
absolutely.
to be that way. And I noticed that they rolled out.
He was a Biden appointee, by the way, just FYI.
Sorry?
The general that got fired.
He was what?
A Biden appointee.
Yes, I know, but there was more than him that went.
More than one.
There's about 8 at least, and that's just an unusual high number at this particular time. You know, I don't know the reasons. I'm just saying it's interesting. The sequence of events, I would say, and then we've got this deadline tomorrow. So I'm interested to see what happens tomorrow. You know, but keep an eye on you know, the destruction that is going on in Israel, and see what happens with the Gulf states as well. Because if the Gulf states go, I don't know, you know, I think the petrodollar potentially is it could be imperiled quite easily. And then the hegemon that America has, will it still be there? You know, the might, the control. I don't know. Just waiting to see what the outcome is.
I think he's been trying to destroy the economy. Dude, I've been saying that since like 2018. I'm like, I think he's trying to blow up the original system.
Yeah, he's getting rid of the old guard. These are 200 plus year systems that he's upending. It's great. Trump is speaking to the astronauts live at 10 p.m. He said we're a little past that, but did want to update everybody on that. Swalwell's looks like he's got some more sexual allegations against him. I'm hoping that drops. Cuba is releasing thousands of political prisoners. That's a really good sign that freedom is approaching them, which will be interesting to see how they organize a peace deal. Ilhan Omar and her, I think her husband are under investigation now. So that's great. But I don't know, great show. A lot of stuff to cover, and looking forward. Like, there's a lot coming. There's a lot of things on the horizon. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the week has. I am not worried about Iran. I think this has been pre-planned and pre-measured. So I am. Of course, there's always hiccups and so forth, but I think that there's a lot going on that we aren't told, and hopefully we can get to the bottom of it as this develops. So great show, and thank you to everybody that tunes in, and thanks to the mods, and thanks to you, Space Shot and Lisa.
Absolutely. I'll just show people a little funny thing here. Do you guys see John Jones here got into a big road rage? I love it when people just put stupid clicks out. He literally got out of his car and flipped the guy off, and I think he had a gun in his waist, but you know, It was just funny. I'm just looking up really quick to see if anything's in the White House, if he's, if we can show anything quick, just to see if their stream happens to be live.
It'd be on NASA. Check NASA's live feed.
Never. All right, let me type this in. Never a straight answer. There we go. Oh, we're live. Flies around the moon. Are we talking to Trump today? What are we doing? Oh, they're live. Let me show the folks.
You'd
here.
have to go back a couple minutes, 10 minutes, to see if he's on.
Let's see. No, they're still flying around the moon. They're still with his third leg.
Where did he say it was going to be?
All right.
Oh, it's
let's see. Trump?
It doesn't say which channel, so I don't know.
Okay, well, in any event, that was episode 203 of Hold the Line. We hope you guys enjoyed it. Do us a big, huge favor on the way out and click a thumbs up. Leave a comment even after the video if you're watching it after the fact. It seems like thumbs up to down ratio and the views mixed in with how many comments are left on the videos is what gets us on the leaderboard, which will in turn draw more like-minded tinfoil hat folks like ourselves to chat with in the chat. So it will benefit you also. So we do appreciate your tuning in, of course. Can't ever forget to thank the mods. We do, of course, appreciate your help greatly. And let me see. I think, actually, I just found out I'm actually going to be doing a video tomorrow evening. I think, on my off day, I think I'm going to be doing around 6 p.m., but just look out for postings. I'm going to have Ghost and I think Armando's going to join us and Ron Partain. Maybe one other person. I'm not sure. But 6 p.m. I believe it's going to be tomorrow evening. Check us out. And for Mac and Lisa, we do appreciate each and every last one of you wonderful world patriots for tuning in out there. And until that next one, thumbs up, like, and subscribe. Peace.
Hello, guys. Something special is happening in here. That's right, it's brackets and jackets, bringing it back for brackets and jackets. Special Epstein Island edition. That's right, folks. Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein, the man with the island, which is suspiciously close to Haiti. That's right. You see, this man, Jeffrey Epstein, is funding lots of people. He's funding lots of people on the street to make sure his shit doesn't get out. That's right. They want the record sealed. And they're paying a lot of people. Epstein's paying a lot of people. Oh, boy. For one, he's got a whole Mossad media matrix in America. And I would bet you anything that Alex Jones is one of them. Prove me wrong. That's right. Cappy's in the portal. Cappy's in the portal. Cappy's in the building with songs about Epstein. It's Breakfast Jacket's Epstein edition. Guys, I had some epiphanies today. I had some real big epiphanies about some guys. A big network of guys and spies and lies and liars. All right, think about this for a minute, okay? The guy in Portland, the scientist that just got busted for producing CP, that guy is 1 degree of separation away from Epstein. Epstein, the investor that lives in West Palm Beach, Florida. I know a guy who lives in West Palm Beach, Florida as well. Investor as well. Also involved as well. And all is not well with these guys. The Florida boys, the Glow boys, the Scott Israels of the world. You see, Epstein is Hillary Clinton. And Epstein is Haiti. And Epstein is a big network of media assets. By the way, did you know that Steve Bannon was going to that guy for money? Also, Epstein is Epstein Oprah. Epstein is Chris Tucker. You remember him. Epstein is also Kevin Spacey. Epstein is also Prince Andrew. Epstein is also... Who else is Epstein? Who else is Epstein? Tell me. You guys know? Who else is Epstein? Is Epstein Big Pharma? Is Epstein Bryan Singer? Is Epstein Naomi Campbell? Yep, all of the above. All of the above. Who is Epstein? Epstein is the keystone of a whole motherfucking matrix. And once you pull it out, it all falls down. Dersh was there too. That's right, we're dropping red pills every day. Dropping red pills in the best kind of way. This is brackets and jackets for the denizens of islands.